Hello all my beautiful little unicorns and welcome back to my channel. So you're here because you would like to know everything that there is to know about your future spouse. You might be single and dating or in a situationship, or you are in a committed relationship and ask yourself, okay, what are the telltale signs that will allow me to know that this person is actually my future spouse? Well, my gorgeous soul, you've come to the perfect spot on the internet for us to uncover the truth. And in case you're new here, my name is Vanessa Somuayina. You guys know me as your big sis from the internet, as well as your favorite tarot reader and tarot deck creator here on YouTube. And today I have prepared these 3 groups to help you figure out precisely who your future spouse is. And I would just like to point out that I will be taking my sweet time and getting into great detail with all of these 3 groups. So make sure that you get yourself comfortably situated, get a drink, get a snack, put this on as you're on your way to work, to school, or wherever it is that you're traveling to. Maybe you're cleaning, reorganizing, tidying up, or simply chilling on your couch. I just want you to know that this time is fully dedicated to you and figuring out precisely who your future spouse is going to be. And before I get into these 3 groups, I want to remind you that I've got my free downloadables linked below in the description box. If you would like a prediction for your zodiac sign, go and download that from my website if you haven't already from my previous videos, because I do know from a lot of you that you enjoyed that PDF so much and it provided you with so much value. For everyone who's new, I just wanted to point that out so that you don't miss out on this. And speaking of new, I can see within my analytics that only 40% of you guys are actually subscribed. What is that? Why is that going on? Make sure that you hit the subscribe button if you felt comfortable in this safe space here on the internet. That way you will also never miss out on another video and an opportunity to dig deep into your life and its future. Now let's get into it. Group number 1 corresponds to the Witch's Wisdom Oracle cards as well as the Aqua Aura Crystal Point. Group number 2 corresponds to the Sacred Rebels Oracle as well as the Carnelian Palm Stone. And group number 3 corresponds to the Beyond Lemuria Oracle cards as well as the Clear Quartz Crystal. But the timestamps to these 3 groups can be found below in the description box as well as pinned to the top of the comment section. So all you need to do is click your timestamp and you will be fast forwarded to the relevant portion of this video. So I will now provide you with a little moment of privacy so you can meditate on these 3 groups and pick the perfect one for you. I recommend that you pick whichever group that you intuitively and naturally feel drawn towards. Don't overthink it, but also allow yourself to tune into 2 groups if you absolutely cannot make up your mind between 2. It could be that your personal reading is a mixture between 2 individual groups. So I'll be right back with you after this little moment of privacy to guide you into your readings. All right, my gorgeous souls, so I will now get into the readings. I'll be starting off with group 1, which corresponds to the Witch's Wisdom Oracle cards, as well as the Aqua Aura Crystal Point. So if this is a group that you chose, then simply continue watching, and to my other beautiful groups, I will catch you at the click of your timestamp. Hello, group number 1, and welcome to your reading. You chose the Witch's Wisdom Oracle cards to help guide you to figure out precisely who your future spouse is, so you can know the telltale signs and you can get rid of any uncertainty when it comes to your future spouse and gain full clarity of who they truly are, so you can recognize them and know that they are the one without a doubt. Now, the Aqua Aura Crystal Point that you chose is not just a gorgeous crystal, but you may have intuitively felt drawn to this crystal because it allows you to be calm and creative at the same time. This is a crystal that brings out your creative streaks in a manner of feeling like you can be in your flow state. Oh, we already have a card that's going to speak. And lastly, what I wanted to add with this crystal is that you might have felt drawn to it because you are meant to be with someone who is very creative and at the same time masculine. They are a doer. So let's get into this. First up, we've got the witch and the healer. Now, your future spouse is a healer. Your future spouse is someone who helps other people. They may work in the medical field. Think doctor, think lab technician, think someone who works in the field of helping others psychologically as well. They may be a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Another thing here in the healer, if they are a healer, this doesn't just mean that they heal people, they may heal systems and businesses. So them being someone who does like forensic accounting, banking in a sector in which they have to pay close attention to mistakes and details and helping businesses get back on their feet. So fixing something that is either sick, not well, or not functioning the way that it should. So they're a truly caring type of person, and in connectivity to the witch, their personality type is mysterious. Somehow they are the type of person where if they are a doctor or a dentist or a psychiatrist, their people get amazing results. Their patients get the type of results that makes them talk to friends and family about, wow, I have this amazing doctor, I have this amazing person. You've got to go to them if you have any type of ailment because they work wonders. The work that they do is like magic, right? Just very witchy, and in a very mysterious way, they're able to cure a lot of ailments that other people struggled with for years or even decades. And the same goes for your future spouse if they are working with numbers and healing numbers, healing businesses, bringing those back together. It's not just about making more money for them. It is about making sure that other people don't lose their jobs and that they can continue to operate and do what they love with fun. So your future spouse is someone who is really deep, even though on the surface it may seem like they just have this very fancy job and fancy lifestyle. They're actually doing it from a place of genuinely wanting to help. And the money that they make, the fancy lifestyle, it's just a result of a pure heart and a pure intention of trying to do the best they possibly can to help as many people as possible. Next up, we've got Yule. Now, let me tell you, your future spouse wasn't always like this. They went through a rebirth. They went through a complete overhaul of their self and their inner workings. They were in boarding school. They were, at one point, I don't want to say like kicked out of their family, but they were given an ultimatum. It's like either you act accordingly and you start to care about your future and how you impact other people's lives, or something needs to give. So they were definitely given an ultimatum by their parents or their grandparents. This was hard for them at the time, but I just want you to know here that what this did is it caused a rebirth. It caused for them to actually become a responsible adult and someone that others can now rely on. So they went from troubled teen to way more responsible young adult to actually forming into someone who has an amazing education and who now just wants to help other people. So we are going to use some of these charms to see precisely what Spirit wants to say. So we've got Lang. All right, that's what I have so far. We've got Legn, leg. That's another thing we've got in here. And let's see what else that we're intuitively receiving. So we also have J and A. So we've got leg, January. Okay, I want you to know that at one point what caused a rebirth as well is an ailment that they had on their legs that happened in January. So either a broken leg or difficulties overall with walking because they maybe sprained their ankle, and that happened in January for them. I want you to know that this also caused them to have a renewed sense of appreciation for being able-bodied. Your future spouse is able-bodied. They're the type of person who is active and sporty. They like to get out there and get things done. And I also just want you to know here that they always find a newfound appreciation for their body actually functioning amazingly well. One thing that I want you to know that we've got when it comes to names is Jane. So your future spouse's mom or grandmother's name is without a doubt Jane. It could also be their middle name, one of their middle names, and this is the person that had a profound impact on their rebirth, on them reshaping who they are completely. Jane is also a name that is possible for a teacher, for someone who worked at the boarding school that they were very close to, a maid, just someone who helped them reform their behavior and reform their attitude completely. And they have also been to a place before that is very cold. Can you see here we've got this winter wonderland type of weather? So I definitely just want you to understand here that skiing, snowboarding, these are all things that they're able to do and that they grew up with. So your future spouse comes from a pretty fortunate, affluent background. I want to almost say they were born with a silver spoon in their mouth. However, their parents wanted to teach them how important hard work is, because they don't want to raise a brat. They never wanted that. And they were tough on your future spouse, rightfully so, and it paid off in the best way because they are now a very humble, put together person. So we've got the homeland, and the homeland showing up, it actually did show up in reverse as I was shuffling and revealed the card. In case you are watching this video and you're doing other things, this card showed up in reverse. Now the homeland and the foundation showing up in reverse with this depiction of what looks like a map of the world, an old map of the world, shows us here that they are well traveled, and at the moment they're traveling a lot. It's like they don't really have a foundation or a home base. That's why this card is showing up in reverse, because your future spouse at the moment is all over the place. They're traveling a lot for work. They're traveling a lot privately as well to have fun and to enjoy themselves. But they're starting to yearn for some stability. They're starting to yearn for a home base, for a stable relationship, for someone that they can be with and just kind of put their head down, relax, be themselves, enjoy, and not have to overthink where they're going to go next or where they're going to lay their head next either, because things are just so busy with their work and with their travel schedule. I want to add to the homeland card. Oh, we have a card, two cards actually, that turned themselves around while I was shuffling. Okay, so this confirms. Let's see here. We have the Four of Cups and then also the Six of Wands. In the Four of Cups, they feel lonely. You can see that here in the card. They feel as though even if you offered them, hey, let's hang, let's be together, even when they get phone calls from friends, from family, they're lonely. They want a spouse. They want a partner. Your future spouse wants to be with someone whom they can travel with, who they can experience things with. They kind of feel like it's time for a real relationship. They feel like it's time to settle down. And so on one hand, they have this very lonely kind of side to them and feeling that they're going through right now. And then on the other hand here within the Six of Wands, of course, they're so successful, they're triumphant. So for one, they feel like they should be so happy about their success, how far they've come in business and professionally, how far they've come compared to other people who they went to school with, to boarding school with, to this elite boarding school with. But then on the other hand, somehow, there really is truth to the saying that money can't buy happiness. While they're super successful, it's like they wish that they could actually share this success with someone else. They wish that they could actually settle down and build a family and be with another person. Because while on the outside they may seem strong and wealthy and triumphant and well off, on the inside they really do struggle a little bit to find their happiness, to find a place of content and comfort and feeling even relaxed or happy. We have a couple more cards that pop themselves on their right side up as I was shuffling. So for one, we have the Seven of Swords, and then we also have the Two of Swords. Now, the Suit of Swords is a suit of the element of air, and this pertains to everything that happens mentally for them. I want you to know here in the Seven of Swords that your future spouse is someone who has had a theft happened to them before and who has dealt with people who were very, very dishonest. So your future spouse definitely has trust issues when it comes to friends, business associates, and business partners. So since then, they've kept their circle really small. Also, their home was broken into. I want you to know that that caused them to make the decision to put security cameras all over their home, especially their office as well. I see here in the Two of Swords and their eyes being bound, that rather than going into things blindly and not knowing who is in their yard, who's at their gate, who is at their door, they would rather just leave that up to a great and very expensive security system. So if something were to happen, they didn't have to snap photos or in a moment of panic think of how they're going to gather evidence. That's already done for them. So they are the type of person who, rather than leaving things up to having to handle it in the moment, they have decided to put systems and mechanisms in place that when anything happens that's unpleasant, it is already recorded. So I would also not be surprised, group number one, if you will have to sign an NDA at some point being around your future spouse, not because they don't trust you in particular, but just because that gives them more peace of mind of knowing, yeah, this person signed an NDA, which means they're not just wanting to use me. They're not just wanting to be dishonest with me. They actually care enough to be around me that they would even go as far as to sign an NDA. How you want to feel about it, group number one, that is completely up to you. But this reading is about your future spouse and everything that there is to know about them. So let's move further into your reading to figure out more details so you can get more clarification, because at the moment, you may still be asking yourself, what does my future spouse really look like? Is this person I'm seeing, is this situationship, is this them, is this not them? So let's move further into it so you can get complete clarity for yourself. We've got the Eight of Coins. Acht der Münzen. This is a deck in German. For all of you wondering, this is the Wandering Star Tarot. No, this is not sponsored. I just love this deck a lot. And if you guys, wenn ihr auch deutschsprachig seid, if you guys also speak German, then this may be a beautiful deck to add to your collection. Now, the Eight of Coins is all about being a busy bee, as you can see, working hard, and that hard work paying off. Now, your future spouse is someone who works hard not just professionally, but who also isn't afraid to work hard in a relationship. They understand that a relationship is hard work. They understand that a relationship is where you go to give, not just where you go to take. And they also want you to be a hard worker too. They're the type of person who believes in education. They always want to be able to measure results. So in their business, they are tough. They are not to be played with. They want measurable results. If they're working with someone, they want the person to produce the results in numbers and to tell them, hey, this is what my work did. Otherwise, they don't want to pay for it. You know, they don't want to pay for something that's just wishy-washy up in the air. So they're a very shrewd business person, and they're also the type of individual that values hard work because they came from a background where they didn't have to work hard. However, it was still instilled in them. It was still drilled into them. And now they're in a place where they cherish that and where they are far more humble than they would have been if your future spouse's parents wouldn't have come to this point where they drew a line in the sand and said, either you start acting right and either you start learning humility, or we're done, or we're not entertaining this or paying for this any longer. So they want to be with someone who is the same, because even though a life with them may mean, okay, financially and just on a material level, things are fine and easy, that doesn't mean that that's how they want to raise their kids, nor is that the type of energy that they want in their life. Now, the Knight of Coins shows us here that they have so many new business ideas that they want to get into. They are still kind of not building themselves in the sense of you getting with them and you have to split every bill with them or even pay more to like lift them up or to support them. And that would be completely up to you if that's something that you would want to do. But what I'm trying to say here about your future spouse in the Knight of Coins is that they are just at the start of how much they're actually going to peak. They're probably going to have their peak in their 50s or in their 60s. They are not in their peak right now when it comes to their career and their money. You may look at them and think, wow, they've invested amazingly well. They're wealthy. They have everything you could wish for. They're the type of person that's like an eligible bachelor or eligible bachelorette. They're the type of person who has so many things going for them. But as mentioned, they haven't peaked yet. They are still on their way to full potential. They are still on their way to reaching their highest version of themselves. And that means also the highest version for their family. And hence why they're lonely. They feel like they're successful, but your future spouse knows that with a good person, with a good woman by his side, he can go way further and reach way higher heights than being by himself. And he knows that that will give him stability that is unmatched, because right now things can still be a little wild, because he's single, because your future spouse right now, maybe even if you are asking yourself if the person you're with is your future spouse and they're acting single, they're acting all over the place. This wildness, it's not actually healthy for them. It's not actually what's going to benefit them the most. And some people need a little bit more time to come to that realization, to come to that aha moment. For some people, it happens sooner. But I see that your future spouse is definitely someone who isn't inherently wild in themselves, but of course, if they have nothing better to do, they're in another city, they're maybe traveling with business partners, colleagues, they know someone in that city and they're asked to come out for dinner or to go to like a get together. It's not that they themselves are a party animal, but hey, rather than sitting alone in a hotel room, of course they're going to join the party. And I see here with an unrecognized that they often feel alone in a room full of people. Your future spouse is actually an introvert. On an external plane, they seem like this person who is charismatic, magnetic, who can speak to anyone, who's confident. And yeah, they have that side to them when it comes to business and work, and that's usually the side that is quote unquote on. But who they actually are is someone who is gentle, someone who is very much an introvert, more of a lone wolf, someone who likes to just be with their close friends and family, hopefully have a spouse one day that they can lean on, that they can rely on, and build a life for their future family, for their future spouse, that they feel is chill and relaxing. And with unrecognized, they often feel very misunderstood. So a big connection point between you and your future spouse is how deeply that you understand them in ways that other people don't get them. You understand they come from a privileged background, but you don't judge them for some of the moments in which they seem spoiled. Let me give you an example. For example, they are privileged enough to fly first class to the point that if they have to fly business class to go somewhere, they will complain and they'll be like, see, this is why I don't fly business class. This is why I only fly first class or private, because this is just unacceptable. And you'll be like, oh my God, you're so spoiled. But you guys can still laugh about it because you know at the core, they are a humble person, and it's just because they can that they're complaining about this. But your future spouse undoubtedly also knows the value of a dollar. They're not a wasteful type of person, but in those moments, that's when you realize, like, wow, they are really on a different echelon than a lot of people. They are from an upper echelon, but they need someone who recognizes the fact that, yeah, they can have that side to them, but they can still be really humble and really enjoy the simple moments, like having breakfast together, like talking to each other late at night on a Saturday night rather than going out and partying, staying in, cooking together, making mocktails, not needing any substances to have fun or to have a good time. They feel as though so many people around them only see their shell and only see who they are externally, the glitz, the glam, the shine, the money, and don't really see them for who they are. And that is when they sometimes go a little wild when they're out partying, because they feel unseen anyways. They feel like the real them isn't there anyways. This is just a version of them that is letting off some steam. So for them, being in a relationship would really be like their dream scenario, being with someone who really gets them. And your future spouse is 100% the type of person who is trustworthy. They're not wild when they're in a relationship. They just feel as though, well, if I'm not in a relationship with the right person, if I'm not in a relationship at all, then why not do whatever I want? Because I don't feel seen anyways. I don't feel like I'm in something that is real anyways, a real connection, you know? So next up, we've got Saturn. Now, Saturn did show up in reverse. Saturn showing up reverse shows us here that what they are really lacking at this point in time is structure. So they have structure in the sense of your future spouse. They have a way that they like to eat, a healthy way of eating, of moving, going to the gym. They are responsible and so on and so forth. But when it comes to anything that isn't related to work, they feel like they would like a little bit more structure. They feel like they would like someone that they can call in the mornings, in the evenings, that they can exchange texts with. They like structure within a relationship because that's what they're used to at their work. So this showing up in reverse also shows us that Saturn is the planet that they deal with the most in their birth chart, that gives them the most friction, if you will, because what they want isn't so easy to find. They want someone who is mega reliable, and they want someone who really gets them to the core. In case you also did not know this, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So Saturn rules the zodiac sign of Capricorn, which is a very ambitious, responsible, efficient, and hard-working type of sign of the zodiac. So I want you to know here that Capricorn placements, Saturn, all of that feels intense for your future spouse because they like things a certain way. They want to have a certain structure in life. Next up, we have Pisces for you. Pisces showed up in reverse, so this is most likely not their sun sign. This is maybe a moon or a rising sign type of placement. And I want you to know that Pisces is the sign of the two fish. You've probably seen it before. This is a water sign. This shows a lot of sensitivity. So this not being their sun sign makes a lot of sense because their sun sign is grandiose. It's a sign that is very much out there, that is hard to miss, if you will, that is very confident. But then on the inside, they have some very sweet Pisces placements within their chart. All right, so I want you to know here that next up, as we roll our astro dice, we received Neptune. One thing within Neptune and Pisces shows us here that they are someone who actually does have some psychic ability. They may not know what to call it, but their intuition is really on point. Their people reading skills, very strong. Your future spouse is someone who is very much into the arts. They love art. They have a lot of beautiful artwork in their home. They are an avid art collector, and they love art that is very eclectic. That's something that I'm getting here out of your reading. They don't like stuff that everyone has or everyone knows or everyone likes. They like contemporary, very eclectic artwork that is kind of, when you walk into their house, you're like, oh, what is this? This looks very different. This looks like something I've never seen before. So let's delve a little more deeply into it. Group number one, we've got the Magician. Now, let me tell you what's going on here with your future spouse. They are the type of person who likes to do. As already mentioned, they have this masculine energy. That's what masculine energy is. Masculine energy is the energy of doing, of getting things done, but also they have a lot of power. That's what I see here in the Magician. The Magician corresponds to the number one. You also belong to the group number one. And choosing the number one, you may not know this, but subconsciously being drawn to the number one, to life path number ones, to people who have this Magician energy. I want you to know that Magician energy is the energy of a leader, of someone who's pretty dominant and who has this masculine energy of, let me deal with this, let me take over, let me protect you. That's what I see here within the Magician for your future spouse. They are the type of person who is super protective and who in many ways, while they do come from a affluent background. They have street smarts that other people didn't expect them to have. And here within the magician, the thing is, like, while they were in boarding school, while they were kind of roughing it out, they learned a lot of mannerisms and ways of being street smart, because while the boarding school was very expensive, exclusive, and elite, there was a lot going on there. There were people doing substances, there was abuse, there was just overall, it was a dark undertone of what was actually happening there. And while they, of course, should have never been put in that situation, it made them stronger, it made them smarter, it made them know how to protect themselves externally and internally, and also how to read people like a book, honestly. So they will be able to tell immediately when they meet you that your intentions are pure, that you actually care about them for who they are. And this is something that people underestimate them with. We spoke about with Pisces and Neptune that they have a very psychic side to them, a psychic ability. Now, they will be able to read everyone like a book, but when it comes to you, they have a good feeling, but there's something about you that they struggle to read, and that is what makes you attractive to them. And here, within the Five of Cups, I want you to know there's something emotionally that's draining them, that they're still dealing with, and that has caused a lot of hurt. And this is some sort of loss. This is a loss that's going on, and I'm getting what I immediately got here with the Five of Cups. The immediate kind of message from Spirit was lost father. Them not having their father in their life anymore, their father being gone, not being alive any longer, and having had to man up and learn masculine energy very early on. And I want you to know that energies, it can apply to any gender, but I do want you to understand the Five of Cups shows upping that masculinity in a time of loss, because they felt lonely, but they also felt a sense of responsibility. They felt like, now I have to step up. I've got people counting on me to be strong, to be the man, if you are dealing with a future spouse who is a man, and to actually show what I'm made of, to make my father proud. Basically, that's what I'm getting here from your reading about your future spouse. Let's move a little more deeply into it. Group number one, to get some more info about this situation. So we have no strings attached. I want you to understand that when it comes to them, that made them very detached. Experiencing the loss of a parent, specifically their father, is something that has made them super detached to any new people coming into their lives, because they know what loss can feel like, and rather than getting too attached to someone, they would rather keep their distance. So it's hard to get to know them for normal people. No new friends is kind of their motto, because as already mentioned, they were burned by a lot of people. People who pretended to be friends, going behind their back, stealing money from them, taking things from them, planning break-ins into their house. I'm getting penthouse. And bribing people to go behind their backs. So that, again, has made them super street smart. That has made them this person who really watches their back when it comes to friends. And they never get too attached to anyone, because they know it can change at the blink of an eye once people find out who they truly are, and all of the benefits, or all of the, let's say, all of the things that were granted to them in life, the ways in which they were given a head start, a heads up, basically. Next up, within confessions, I see that your future spouse is someone who, once they reveal to you some of these confessions, you will be shocked, because on the outside, it's just a picture perfect facade, but when they tell you what they've actually experienced and what they've been through, you will feel as though it is a lot of darkness that they had to go through and experience, that's kind of elevating away from them. Because when you meet your future spouse, it will feel like there is a mystery. There is this unspeakable, a little bit heaviness to them, and you can't put your finger on it until they start revealing to you what they've experienced, despite the fact that it seems like they've got everything, despite the fact of them being well off. That will really open your eyes to understanding that not all that glitters is gold, and that even though they put a smile on their face every day, they are successful, they have a lot of people who look up to them, and it may seem like they had everything handed to them, that was not the case at all. They had to work hard to get to where they are today. And the worst thing that could have actually happened to them is if they wouldn't have had to work hard, everything was handed to them, and then they probably would have made a lot of mistakes. They had this inheritance from their dad that they got, and they strategically were only able to unlock this inheritance from their parents, from their father. I'm also getting grandfather, who allowed for the father to inherit a lot, and then now for your future spouse to also inherit all of that. I'm getting real estate investments, stock portfolio, and lump sums. And the thing here is that they strategically, the parents and grandparents strategically made sure everything was basically in a trust, only accessible if your future spouse were to finish a good education, work hard, and get a good job. If that was not fulfilled, if the humility had not been built, then they would not have gotten access to any of that. But they did it, and therefore they're in this position because their parents knew that if they did not make them work hard, they could get as much money, as much riches, as much real estate as there is on the planet, but they would have lost it all to bad business practices, not cherishing it, not being humble, and not knowing how to manage it. So it was so important for their parents to make sure that they learned how to handle this lifestyle, all of these assets, before any of it was given to them. So group number one, we are at the point now where I will clear and cleanse the space, and we'll delve even more deeply into who your future spouse is and everything that there is to know about them. So simply hold on tight, group number one. You don't need to do anything but continue to enjoy your reading, and I'll be right back for us to move even more deeply into this. Welcome back, my gorgeous souls. So let's delve even more deeply into who your future spouse is. I want to figure out precisely when you will meet them, shall we? So we have 2 months of the year here for meeting and officializing the relationship. And then I also just want to figure out a little bit more about what we can expect about the whole atmosphere of meeting your future spouse, so you can know undoubtedly whether you've got your future spouse before you right now, or when you bump into them, you'll know, okay, this is the one. All right, so let's see what Spirit has to say. We've selected our cards. We will now unveil them for you. So we've got March as well as December. And we've got lake as well as the lotus flower. So I want you to know here, you're going to meet them and you're going to be near a lake, some sort of still water. Okay, so this is not going to be by a stormy ocean. This is going to be in a park, a place of stillness. And here in connectivity to March and December, it's going to be during a period in your life where you feel like things are kind of still, calm, and you're getting ready for change. You're getting ready for something new. You're getting ready for bloom, for summer, so to say. So quite literally March and December, but also remind yourself that this is how we describe these periods of the year. However, you may have a December vibe, even in the summer, if everything is still and quiet and you're kind of preparing yourself for spring. You can even experience that kind of energy in summer. You know what I mean, group number one? But I think you guys always know what I mean. You guys just get me like that. So the thing here that I want you to understand is that you're meeting them during a time where you're actually so good with what you've been through. You have fully healed from your past relationship. That's why we're moving into December, where you're still, you're quiet, you're calm with yourself. And we have this December-March vibe, and March shows you're slowly beginning to get ready for the unfoldment, for the lotus flower, for the opening up to someone new, to trusting someone new, to letting someone new in. Also, another thing that I can see here is that they are the type of person who will not take you on a date to somewhere busy, somewhere loud, somewhere hectic. They want to get to know the real you. Your future spouse will take you on a date near a lake, near a park. Think, for example, in New York City, Central Park. Think, for example, in London, in England, we've got Hyde Park. There are so many beautiful, iconic parks. And I want you to understand here in the lotus flower that what they love to see is a gentle, feminine unfolding of yourself. And that's why it's so imperative that you had healed from everything you've been through. And that's why this will be your future spouse, because you don't immediately trauma dump on them. You don't immediately tell them every way in which you were wronged in past relationships, every ways in which you've struggled, in which your parents did you wrong or did things to traumatize you, to make life difficult for you. You're not going to immediately reveal to him your deepest, darkest depths of yourself. You will actually give your spouse, your future spouse, time to uncover that, because when you're too open too soon, it can scare people away, even though we want to all say that, we're adults, we should be open, we should be straightforward, we shouldn't have to play games. Yes, but let's be real, we're all human. We all, for example, have opinions about when we meet someone the first time, first impressions. If you have senses, if you can see, hear, smell, you will have some sort of idea of whether you like this person or not. You will have some sort of opinion. You will have some sort of impression that they made on you, whether that's good or bad. We cannot work around this. And the same goes for opening up completely into trauma mode immediately with someone. Of course, they may be someone who is really non-judgmental, but that doesn't mean that it's going to have a better effect than if you kept some of it to yourself until you've gotten to know them better, because it also shows them, hey, this is not someone who immediately trauma dumps on a stranger, because they, to the outside world, need someone who is kind of put together and a little bit more quiet, if you know what I mean, because they have to show up to business events with their future spouse. They want someone who is put together publicly. Now here, within the rainbow, know that meeting your future spouse, you will be able to see a rainbow. It will be completely clear to you that you have met the one, that this is your future spouse, when during this date in the park, in the lake, this cute daytime get together, okay? They want to get to know you during the day, not during the night, not in a club, not in a bar. Something sweet, something wholesome during the day. You will see a rainbow. You may kiss under this rainbow, and you won't say it, but you'll both feel like this is special, this is different, and this is something that you've both not experienced before, and that almost feels like, wow, this is meant to be. So that's what I see here within your reading so far. Let's see what else Spirit has to say for you, group number 1. We've got the full moon. We've got the rainbow. We've got the full moon. This will have happened just by a full moon type of energy. So at that time of the month where the moon is maybe causing you some trouble with insomnia, with sleeping. I know for me, it's a little more difficult to sleep during the full moon. I find it a bit more challenging. And it could also be because there is light coming from the moon during the full moon, and therefore also animals, especially prey animals, they're more active, they're more on edge. So we too are affected by the movements of the moon, by the whole celestial thing going on in the night sky. So here with the full moon, I want you to understand that your future spouse is someone who you will meet during the full moon. So either 2 to 3 days before or after the full moon. And because of this full moon energy, you will get pretty close to one another pretty quickly on an emotional level. That's where we've got the lotus flower and the unfoldment. And I want you to understand that unfolding, again, not trauma dumping, just sharing a lot of deep, dark feelings. Okay, not necessarily just dark ones, but deep feelings and deep sentiments about how you feel about yourself and the world. Next up, we've got the pin. So I want you to know here that you are going to meet them actually during this vibe and era of a new job and new career going on for you. So this makes a lot of sense now with March and December and kind of getting ready, getting built up to get into this new job, this new career, this new thing. So the pin is definitely indicative of the fact that this change of job is going to put a change into your energy and allow for you to meet your future spouse. And it's going to give you a completely fresh outlook on life and your capabilities. You're going to feel more confident, more capable, and in a sense, like, even if they come from a very successful, affluent background and place, you never feel like lesser than, because you just have this really deep, strong confidence within you that allows you to stand strongly and confidently in front of anyone, no matter who they are, no matter what their name is, no matter what their net worth is, no matter how many people bow down to them. That doesn't impress you, group number one, because you know that the inherent value of a person lies in who they really are on the inside. Next up, we've got committed. Okay, well, this is a reading about your future spouse, so obviously commitment is important to them. They will be committed from the get-go. They will immediately state to you that they are looking for a committed relationship. You're not going to have to guess whether they want to be committed or not. We also have 2 rings here. One does have a diamond on it, so let's not be shocked when you get that beautiful diamond engagement ring. Let's just DM me, tag me, let me know so I can celebrate with you, group number one. And here within committed, do know that your future spouse is someone who likes to be in a partnership that is committed, not because they want control or because it is so important for them that you're not seeing anyone else, but because they have always dreamt actually of being married, of being committed, of having a family, of building a life together. And commitment is something that is normal within their lineage, and that commitment not being broken. They want to find the one. Your future spouse is not about getting divorced. They're not about splitting up. Once they're set on someone, they're set. And they will know pretty quickly that they want to be committed to you. That's how you know this is your future spouse. They are a very particular person, particular and peculiar. They know exactly what they want. They're at an age where they've dated, they've had relationships, and they know precisely what they don't want, what doesn't vibe with them. So therefore, when they meet the right one, they don't need to overthink it. They don't need to be boyfriend, girlfriend, or just partners first for 6, 7, 10 years before they feel ready to commit. They feel ready to commit quickly. And I see here within the oracle that having a lot of these philosophical talks with you is what will solidify your ranking in their list of partners, because they will know you're the one. They can talk to you about everything under the sun and more. There is nothing that's taboo. There's nothing that you're not intellectual enough to discuss with them. There's nothing that you are unable to hold in a topic of conversation. So regardless of what your educational background is, the thing is, you have a very good sensitivity and sensibility to dealing with other human beings, and they love that in you. It's just like common sense that unfortunately isn't so common, but you possess that, and that is something that they need and crave, and that they were missing in past relationships. Next, here within psychic, I want you to know, group number one, we mentioned how they are a pretty psychic type of person, and I want you to know that overall, this relationship with your future spouse, it is laced with psychic energy of literally just knowing, and also some clairvoyance. We have this eye shape here. We have this round form. We have these mountains. It's like seeing the distance, seeing into the future, already being able to see how this will play out, and that you're meant to be together, that you're soulmates, that you're meant to be together forever. And this is something that you can both see and envision crystal clear. It's not something that you're guessing about. It's not something that you're uncertain about. It's something that you both feel in the depths of your hearts, and it's something that you both can confidently say after just a short period of time of knowing each other, this is the one for me. This is my person. And I see here within peaceful that your future spouse just wants peace. They just want a peaceful relationship. They just want to be with someone who doesn't stress them out, who lets them do their work, who lets them bring home the money, who allows them to travel for their business meetings and either comes with them or allows them to focus. They want a peaceful life. They have been in relationships with other people who have come from very affluent backgrounds, and it was a nightmare. Either they were very pretty and good looking and had no manners and no respect for what your future spouse wanted. They felt entitled. They were very spoiled. Or they had issues with substance abuse and they were just not in a place where they could even be in a committed relationship, and they had a ton of issues. So for them, it's been hard to just find someone sane who's loving and caring. And for them, finding that peace is the most important, because they have been plagued by other things. They have had their own moments of drinking, of substances, of doing all of this crazy stuff, and they got it out of their system, and they're so at peace with where they are now. They only want a relationship that adds to that. If a relationship takes away from that, it is not the right one for them. And they're super picky. Your future spouse, even if they have the opportunity to sleep with someone really attractive, someone good looking, someone famous, they're not going to do it, because to them, they've been there, done that, and they know that that is just empty pleasure that's not going to lead anywhere. They want meaning. I see here within the Chariot that they have just purchased a new vehicle, and in their life as well, the vehicle is not only indicative of wanting to move forward, wanting to change their life, but it does also show us what direction they're moving in. The vehicle that they purchased is a family-friendly vehicle. They're done with the two-seaters, with the fast sports cars, with the motorcycles, with the public transportation. They are kind of already manifesting you into existence by starting to make their life choices based on how it would be to be with another person and potentially also start a family. So having a vehicle that has enough space, having an environment where they live that is safe for kids, that is safe for a spouse, and just overall going from bachelor pad or bachelorette pad to really being more of a settled down, family-oriented adult. Next, we have the Emperor. Or shall I say, actually, this is the Empress, but I'm getting Emperor vibes here. However, here within the Empress, I can see that what's important to them is fertility. So they do want someone who is a little younger than them, because just, it's weird. It's almost like they don't actively think this in their head, but just biologically, they are more drawn to someone at this point in time who has youthful energy, young, fun energy, and who seems as though, yeah, they are fertile. So someone who takes care of themselves, someone who's very put together when it comes to their appearance, someone who pays attention to their diet, who moves, who works out. They have standards, and for them, what's important here is that they're with someone who has this knack of this very caring, nurturing, kind of mom-like energy. They want someone who is the nurturer, who is the homemaker, who is the caretaker. That doesn't mean that the Empress can't have their own job or their own career, but they want someone who they find beautiful and soft and delicate, because they are in the trenches every day. They're closing challenging business deals, and sometimes with shady people too. They are having to be out here in this hard world that seems hard and cold for them. So when they come home, when they're with their spouse, they want to be in softness. They want to be in divine, feminine, sweet energy. And that's where I see here within the Empress, that's also the type of environment they would want for future children. They don't want a harsh environment. They want an environment that is still, that is calm, no arguing, no yelling, and no form of any type of physical aggression at all. They can't stand that. They hate that. They experience that in their boarding school stint, and it's not something that they want to carry on with a future spouse or partner. They think it's horrible. They think it's terrible, and they're hoping that they will never get to the point where they have to send their own kids to a boarding school. They will if needed, if they feel as though, okay, these kids are getting too spoiled, but it's something they want to avoid at all costs, and they feel as though having kids growing up in a safe, calm environment can help to actually really teach them the true meaning of life and the value of money and material things and hard work. Now, group number 1, I'm going to clear and cleanse the space, and then we'll move even more deeply into your reading, as I feel very inclined to, by spirit, that we have more to uncover about your future spouse. I hope that you're enjoying yourself. If you're still here, make sure that you leave a little dove emoji below or a cheetah emoji below. That is the only way that one would know that you're part of group 1, is if you either leave the dove or the cheetah emoji below in the comment section. That way you'll let me and others know that you're here, that you're part of group 1, that you're a real one who's made it up until this point, and that you're ready for us to uncover some more truths about who your future spouse is. So group number 1, just hold on tight, continue to lean back, relax, and enjoy, and I'll be right back with you so we can delve more deeply into your reading. Welcome back, group number 1. So let's figure out more about your future spouse, shall we? So let's shuffle the cards. Let's see precisely what additional information we are meant to receive for you about your future spouse and who they are. Now, Spirit, please reveal for group number 1 what else that we need to know about their future spouse. Okay, we've got the 3rd house in reverse. Now, the 3rd house is the house of communication. It also connects to the zodiac sign of Gemini. So in astrology, there are these 12 different houses, and they all represent different parts of your birth chart and different parts of your personality aspects. In correlation to your future spouse, I want you to know that the 3rd house showing up in reverse shows us that they're someone who is a person of rather few words. They do not like over communication. They're a very straightforward, clear type of person, and they expect the same from you. So you may end up being the more talkative one, the more chatty one, the one that likes to get into discussions more than your future spouse. So it's not like they don't like to talk to you. They love like philosophical discussions, but when it comes to anything that could turn into an argument or like a heated discussion, they like to just be straightforward. They don't like to hold grudges or hold things in. They're the type of person who just wants to say it and move on. They don't like to go on and on and on about an issue for ages. They feel as though that's just a waste of precious time that they could be spending actually having a good time with you and having a good time together with one another. So they are like allergic to wasting time. They're allergic to feeling as though they are over communicating literally anything. So next up, we've got the 10th house. So the 10th house correlates to the sign of Capricorn. This is the house of their public image, their career, their legacy. This card showing up in reverse is indicative of in the past, there are certain traditions or norms that people may have followed from their background, that their parents even followed, like marrying someone from a similar background, maybe even from a similar kind of ethnic background as well, from a similar tradition when it comes to religion, culture, etc. But that goes out of the window for your future spouse. They don't care about that. They don't care about what is like frowned upon, what is seen as the norm, what is looked at as the norm, what is common tradition, and so on. They really don't care about that. They first and foremost want to find someone who they feel happy with and who really understands them, and everything else to them is just silly. They don't want a relationship that is just based on societal pressures or pressure from their community and from the traditions that were upheld up until now. Also, when it comes to religion, I want you to know they are fully autonomous when it comes to that. They are not going to follow religious dogma or practices just because they should or they have to or their parents told them to. They've even probably actually had a phase of atheism, of switching religions, of being very non-religious before coming back to a place where they have faith. They do follow certain aspects that actually help elevate their life, that provide good values, helpful values, kind values, but anything that is restrictive, they don't want that within their life. And I see here within Vesta and the Earth that another thing they've had in their life is this like biker phase. Okay, I see like leather jackets, motorcycles, just overall being a little bit more of a rebel, even though they were already successful at that point, you know, like scruffy beard, long hair, and so on. Biker boots, just non-conformity is one thing that I can see is natural to them. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's important to them, but they would kind of in a way almost rather be with a spouse who is so out of what their parents maybe thought they would be with or what their grandparents would have wished for, because they just want to show that they don't give a single F. Group number one, like they just want to show they're not going to conform to any norms, to any standards. They're not going to do things the way someone else wants them to. They are doing whatever feels good to them. They're going to be with a spouse that suits them, not that just looks good, that actually feels good to be with, emotionally speaking. And they are living their own life on their own terms. That's the thing here with your future spouse. They also learned how to be successful independently of their family's money. So even if that were to be revoked, doesn't matter to them because they know how to make it and how to get back to that point. So next up, we've got Tiferet. Now, Tiferet is the angel of the heart, of beauty. And I can see here that they're the type of person who loves like a very delicate beauty and heart type of vibe. They have met a lot of people whose hearts seem to be missing, and in many ways they feel sometimes, do you know the Beauty and the Beast? They sometimes feel like the beast. They sometimes feel as though they wish that they had a beauty, a true beauty, someone who is beautiful from the inside out, to kind of take a little bit of the edge off of their life and off of them, and to make them feel like it's okay to be who they are, to still be loved by someone who is so beautiful, like inside and out. And as you can see here, they felt kind of like this gaping hole, and we have a hand that's reaching out, about to like touch them on their head, about to show them like, hey, I'm here, here's the way. You don't have to be alone any longer. You don't have to feel as though the spot where your heart was is empty or vacant. You can actually start to rebuild the part of you that does crave emotional intimacy and connection and true love. Next up, we have Uriel. This is the angel of flame. And excuse me, actually Tiferet showed up in reverse for you. So I will put Tiferet upside down, and Uriel showed up upright. This is the angel of flame, the angel of fearlessness, of destruction in many ways. So the very first time you and your future spouse have any kind of disagreement and you don't like the way they handle the situation, maybe you do think it's too direct, it's too kind of passionate. So of course we're not going to stand for any type of abuse. That is anyways already like a no-brainer, a no-go. But if you feel like they're getting a bit too heated, they're getting a little bit too excited in this moment, walk away. Tell them you won't stand for this. Do that the first time, because then they will be so afraid to lose that person that sparked for their heart to be renewed, for those cells to renew and rebuild themselves, that they will come literally crawling back. They will be like, I'm so sorry, I'll never do this again. And they will never do it again. But you have to give them the feeling that they will lose you over this, because you don't want to enable any kind of behavior that you don't want to deal with in the long term. So the first time that they do it, walk away. The first time that you feel they are out of line, and it may not happen early in, this is years down the line, tell them that that's not something that you're dealing with. Walk away, and trust me, they will come running back and they will never make that mistake again. Next, with Raziel, we've got the angel of mysteries. Raziel shows us here that honestly they want to keep their relationship with you and their family life very private, very mysterious. They don't want to share with anybody. So even, for example, parents, they don't share too much information about what's going on between you and them. Your future spouse is someone who likes to keep to themselves, and they want you to keep to yourself as well. So they won't like if you're telling your friends too much info about what's going on within your relationship, just because they don't want too much information about themselves out there, because they are more on the high profile side and they just don't trust other people. It's not that they don't trust you, but group number one, it's that your future spouse just wants to keep things private, and they do so, and they kind of expect you to have a line that you draw as well. as to how much you're going to actually share with other people about what happens within the relationship. Here within the rebellion, we've also got the number 33, which is a master number. This is a number of someone who turns from a rebellion and an outcast into a teacher. That's what we have for your future spouse. You remember we spoke about that within Vesta. Vesta corresponds to the number 32, then we've got the number 33. So it's like we're carrying on this journey of speaking of how your future spouse, who they really are, is a rebel at heart, and they're not afraid to shake things up. I also see here that why they want to remain mysterious and private is because that gives them more power to shake things up, because people never know what to expect. And you'll like that too, because your future spouse is someone who will keep a lot of things private, so they will have the most amazing surprises for you, because they don't immediately already tell you everything that's going on their mind when it's just a thought. They like to think it through and then share when it's something such as a vacation, such as a business move, or even moving countries and purchasing another home. Next up, we have nobility. So nobility shows us here that they are the type of person who has very high standards for themselves, but also high standards for you. Group number 1, I urge you to understand that these high standards come from a place of being able to actually provide on that high level too. Your future spouse is not someone who has these high standards, but can't provide those standards or live up to it themselves. If you're dealing with someone like that, that's not your future spouse. That's not your person. Your future spouse, they can actually provide what they expect. That is an important detail for you to bear in mind when dealing with someone. If they are not able to provide what they expect, they are not the one, okay? They're a poser. They're pretending to be your future spouse, but they are not it. I see here within reason that your future spouse is someone who loves to listen to your advice. They love when they're going through a tough time to be able to tell you, hey, I'm struggling with this, this, and this, especially within their business. And the thing is, you listen and you just say like, oh, thank you for sharing. You don't immediately go into fixing mode. You don't immediately go into the mode of what advice can I give them? How can I make them feel better? No, you simply let them state what's going on. You hold space for them. And then the thing is, once you've held that space for them, at some point you'll be like, yeah, well, I think you can do this. You know, you've dealt with this previous situation that was hard in the past. You remind them of something that they did well in the past. And then you're not even offering advice or ways of fixing it. You're just telling them, you have achieved this in the past. You have gotten yourself out of tougher situations in the past. You will get yourself out of this easily as well. This is something that is not a big challenge to you. So I do see here by burnt by the sun that this actually fuels their ambition, because you're not taking their masculinity, or shall I say their confidence, away from them by giving them this whole, oh, you can do it, babe, you can make anything happen. That in a way makes them feel like they failed when you get to a point where you have to be like a cheerleader. So instead, having this very cool, content way of just saying, you know what, I think you can do this, giving them a little kiss, sending them off back to wherever that issue is happening, allowing them to put out those fires by themselves. That's where they really thrive. That's where they actually get the energy and the almost confidence boost that they need to remember who they are and to get through any challenge, especially a work-related one, because they don't feel emasculated. They don't feel like that divine masculine doing energy has been taken away from them, or like they've been feminized, or like they're incapable, you know? When you get to the point where you have to be the cheerleader and you're like, oh no, you can do this, but babe, you've got this, that's already too far for them. They don't want you to even worry, because to them that feels like they've failed you. So they don't want to see you worrying too much. They want to see you have this kind of stable, steadfast, quiet confidence in them. That's all that they need to see. That's all the support that they need. They don't need long discussions, long kind of like pick-me-ups. They just need to feel that from you, and that they've got a rock within you. That's who your future spouse is. Now, group number 1, this is the reading that I received in regards to your future spouse. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that this gave you a lot of great insight into who they are and that you found this reading insightful. Don't forget to leave a little flame emoji below in the comment section to let me and others know that you were here, that you received this reading. It was very extensive, very detailed, and I hope that you enjoyed that and that you can appreciate the honesty within these readings and that overall you felt comfortable in this safe space. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That would greatly help my channel and allow for me to continue creating these videos. And furthermore, my Patreon is linked in the description box, as well as the wait list for my course on how you can create your own tarot or oracle deck. That course is going to be launching not too long after me publishing this video. I'm putting the finishing touches on that course. And of course, if you would like to learn how to read tarot cards by yourself and even have your own tarot channel, such as I do, or your own patron, then make sure that you check out my How to Become a Great Tarot Reader Masterclass. Because once you're in there, there's also a community section, and you're in there for life. So you can ask me questions for life, and there will be new course segments added continuously to that as well. And of course, I have all my free downloadables on my website too, which is bowlife.com. Check those out, download those free downloadables, get your free reading for your zodiac sign right there as a little token of my appreciation for my gorgeous unicorn army. So my beautiful soul, I would like to thank you for being here, for spending this divine time and space with me, and know that my channel is forever going to be a safe space for all of you who have felt like outcasts, like you're different, like you're the black sheep or the odd one out. I feel you, been there, still there at times, and I'm so excited for us to have this space to be together. So I'm sending you so much love, group number 1, and I can't wait to connect with you during one of my upcoming readings. Hello, my beautiful soul of group number 2. Welcome to your reading that's all about who your future spouse is and absolutely everything that there is to know about them, so you can have full clarity over your future spouse and your love story in this lifetime. So you chose the carnelian in connectivity to the Sacred Rebels Oracle deck, and the carnelian, in case you didn't know, is a stone of passion, love, as well as having very spicy, intimate moments. So that may be why you intuitively chose this stone, and probably also an important part of your future spouse and your love life. So let's get into your reading. I'll put your carnelian right here so we still have its energy infused into your pick a card psychic prediction, so we can get straight into figuring out precisely who your future spouse is. So let's see what Spirit has to say for you first, group number 2. So we have heaven sent. Wow, your future spouse is going to be someone that you feel is like heaven sent, like your guides, God, the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, that you pray to, that he was sent to you. They were sent to you for a reason. Like they are the perfect match, and they are literally heaven sent. Like when you meet this person, when you've got your future spouse in your life, you're going to be so thankful for the fact that they were sent to you, that you were granted such an amazing human being, and it will almost feel like this radiant light when you think about them all over your head chakra, enveloping the top of your head. And in heaven sent, we've also got master number 33. This is a number of someone who is a teacher, someone who has experience, someone who is mature. So your future spouse is definitely someone who teaches in some way, shape, or form. They're either a teacher, quite literally speaking, or they are a CEO or manager at their job, because they are able to teach others the reins to continue to build the company that they're working in. Next up, we have Saint Germain. So in Saint Germain, this is an image of who your future spouse is. This is everything you need to know about them. Clean, put together. They may have some facial hair, but they keep it tidy, clean, not too crazy long. High cheekbones and dark eyes. They are the type of person who you feel always moves beyond drama. They hate drama. They don't like drama. It's not something that they're willing to engage in, and they've created their own path. They are not the type of person who wants to be in a relationship where there are a lot of arguments or any type of aggression or any type of drama. They want to be with someone who knows who they are. They want to be with someone who makes room for good energy with a positive person. And I also see that colors that they like to wear are different reds and also even purples. So they are someone who is good with fashion, like they can wear anything and they're not afraid to add color into their wardrobe. Another thing that I do see here is that they are a pretty good looking person. Your future spouse is someone that others look at and think, oh, okay, this is not a bad catch. This is someone that I wouldn't say no to being with. So they have this very confident aura. They have a very straight nose, a symmetrical face, and they have this hair that is kind of a little bit more on the brown side. So their hair is not completely light, not completely dark. It's somewhere in between. It's kept short and put together. They still have a lot of hair, a good hairline, all right? And they also have lips that are semi-full. So their lips are not super thin. They're also not mega full. They're somewhere in the middle. And they have a very strong neck too. Their shoulders are kind of always in a more relaxed state, if you will. And your future spouse is also someone who dresses well in dress suits and so on. Dress shirts is what I meant to say, because they know that appearances do matter in this day and age, and they always want to make a good impression in case, well, there's another business deal around the corner. So let's move a little further into your reading, group number 2. Our starting point here is definitely someone who has had enough of people who are shallow and who are very dramatic and self-centered. I see here within the word wants to be written that they will get in touch with you via either DM or writing you on a dating app, an email, so you will get in touch with them via written word. So this is the type of person that you will meet, and when you text, when you communicate with them in writing form, it will be so cute. You will even receive love letters from them. That's one thing that I see, because we've got all of these butterflies here, which are symbolic of transition, of feeling free, and that coming from a place of tears being shed, happy tears. It's like you're finally free to love, to express yourself fully, because they too are expressing themselves fully. Your future spouse wants to write all of these beautiful, sweet things to you. They want to write you good morning texts, good night texts. They want to send you love letters and love notes that make you feel like they truly care about you and the connection, and like they want to be together forever. They're actually at a point in their life where they don't feel as though that's being a simp or that's being weak or something like that. They actually find it very toxic to not be that loving and caring and to not show that vulnerable side, because they themselves, they love someone who can be vulnerable and someone who can share love in a written form, in the written word. So they are trying to give what they want to receive. Now, in listening for truth, they're also the type of person who pays close attention to what you say. They have uncovered so many lies and half-truths from past partners just by paying close attention to how they speak, to the type of energy that they have when they use certain words, to overall like how they handle situations when your future spouse has asked their exes more questions and they start stuttering, they start not knowing anymore who they were hanging out with, who they were texting, who's in their phone. They know something is up, they know something is wrong, they know there's a half-truth here or a full-blown lie. So they're allergic to that. They are a very kind of calm, smart, tactical listener, because they always want to feel out who they're dealing with and whether this is the type of person that is actually trustworthy. And I see here within the sacred fool that they have been made to feel like a fool in the past because they were, in a sense, kind of naive. The thing is, your future spouse is not someone who finds it normal to cheat or to lie or to go behind another person's back, and they have had an encounter, a relationship with someone for whom that is normal, who did that, who felt as though that was in some way, shape, or form acceptable. And that really shattered their worldview in many ways, and it took away some of the magic of love for them. And they want to rediscover that by finding someone who, in a sense, is blissfully unaware of this and who still has a little bit of that childlike sense of wonderment. Not that your future spouse wants like a child or someone who's super naive, like crazy naive, but just a little bit. Someone who still believes in the innocence of true love and still believes in being in a real relationship. And here within the Sacred Fool, as well as listening for truth, at this point, they are a master lie detector. They don't need to send anyone to a lie detector test. They can detect any lie from like miles away. They're the type of person who has learned the hard way, but it's good. They're happy with that because they know that they needed those lessons in order to not end up with someone who they were not meant to be with. Now, your future spouse is also someone who meditates. I see that here within Heaven Sent and the Word wants to be written. They're a very like holistic, spiritually inclined type of person. And yoga is another thing that I'm getting, like yoga, meditation, walks in nature. That's what I get here with Saint Germain and karma releasing. That is a way for them to ground themselves, to release any kind of unwanted energies and vibes that they don't want to continue carrying around with them, and to just free themselves of any heaviness. That's an important practice that they like to do every single day if possible, as they don't like to carry like old things around with them, nor would they hold grudges with you. Like if you have an argument with your future spouse, which is normal, every relationship or most relationships go through some disagreements, they're not judging you. They're not telling you weeks later what you did wrong or how you lost the argument or you used this or that in the argument. They're not about that. They have bigger fish to fry. Ooh, we've got the Wild Rose Fairy. So we've definitely got love here. Your future spouse is crazy about you. They love you deeply, dearly, and more than they've ever loved anyone before. So if you ever find yourself wondering, like, did they ever love like an ex as much as they love me? How do they really feel about me? Like, is this really like crazy love? Did they ever love someone else more that maybe didn't want them? And that's the one that got away. Like, am I really their number one? And I know that these are thoughts that one may have in some moments, especially when the person seems like heaven sent, like too good to be true. And I just want you to know here, like, you are really their forever partner. Like, even these people who seem too good to be true, even they need to be with someone, you know? And who's to say, group number 2, that you aren't one of these individuals that is too good to be true? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about that your future spouse may look at you and be like, oh wow, they are too good to be true. How am I this lucky? How is this really my person? So next we have the Stag Spirit. I want you to know that a big part of this love is allowing leadership, is allowing you and your future spouse to lead in different areas of the relationship. The way that you would like to divide up the leadership is up to you and your future spouse, but you're doing so in a really loving way, and you're not allowing for societal dogma and pressures to get into your way of actually just experiencing love and support from one another. You don't care if leadership means that, for example, if you're in a classic like male-female relationship, in a straight relationship, that doesn't mean that if you as a female are more domestic, the homemaker, the one who maybe even works less and takes care of the home or the kids more, you're not allowing that to make you feel icky because in this day and age, while women are supposed to do it all, if it feels good for you to take over the leadership of the home, which is far more important than any job, then that's what you're doing from a loving place. If it feels good to your future spouse to take over the role of being the breadwinner or the protector or the one who organizes things such as finances, who invests, who ensures that your family is protected physically and psychologically at all times, then there's nothing wrong with that. The thing here about leadership and love is that you lovingly and respectfully take a step down from what your spouse is better at and allow them to lead in that so they can feel honored, respected, valued being in that role, and like they found someone who actually appreciates that and who actually allows them to lead where they're good at leading, and vice versa. So they step down in areas of life where you have more say because you just thrive in that role as a leader. You thrive in being the person who plans out a part of your lives, and that creates balance because then you also don't have one person who's leading everything and who's doing everything. You both appreciate and value and respect one another for your individual leadership qualities that you have, that you've developed, and that are naturally yours. And you allow one another to shine in those roles and to sit back and watch each other in awe as you're in those roles, rather than trying to always mingle, intertwine, mix with what the other person is actually really strong in. You don't need to actually get in between that. You don't need to be a part of every single decision making aspect. It can actually be really relaxing to be able to sit back and know that your spouse has just got certain aspects of life and of you. Exactly. And the ego spirit, as your guides have brought into this reading right now, it creates freedom. It creates the freedom to sometimes, in a way, just leave your brain at home. I know it sounds really weird, but yeah, whether you're traveling, for example, and your partner is the one that knows what gate to go to, what to pack, what kind of permits to bring, they make sure that you get there safely, that you get the cab to the Airbnb, the hotel, wherever it is that you're staying. It gives freedom to allow a partner to lead in different aspects of the relationship, because then both of you at different points in time can just leave your brains at home, so to say, and you can actually relax. Because being someone who is an adult in this day and age, it's a lot of work. It's not easy. You always have to be on. You always have to be watching out. So having someone that you can fully rely on, who has shoulders that you can lean on when you feel exhausted, that is your future spouse, not someone who is making you feel anxious or like you have to lead everything all the time. Next, we've got the phoenix. Now, the phoenix rising from the ashes, as we can see here above the flames, it shows some transmutation. It shows us in connectivity actually to the carnelian too, that your private life, your intimate life is going to change profoundly with your future spouse. It's going to be a lot freakier. It's going to be a lot more out of the box. It's going to be unlike anything you've ever experienced before. You're going to do some stuff that you wouldn't do with anyone else. So I'm talking kinks. I'm talking some things that are pretty nasty, group number 2, to be very blunt and upfront and honest with you. And I do see here that it's just a mutual understanding that this is your outlet. This is where you come to be together, to be freaky, and therefore you're not looking elsewhere to experience that type of pleasure or that type of sensation, because you've got it all with your future spouse. So actually, it is a great way to keep your relationship and your marriage alive and spicy and fun, because you know that your spouse will go to any length to make you feel like you're experiencing the most pleasure you ever had, and vice versa. It's a very give and take type of thing, very straightforward. If we want to be together forever, we need to please each other, even if that means doing a couple freaky things. So let's move a little further into your reading. We've got the sun. So we're about to find out more about your future spouse, and the sun being a heavenly body that, again, it represents leadership. It represents also like entrepreneurship, taking matters into your own hands. And it is also representative of life, because obviously without the sun there would be no life on planet Earth. And here, when it comes to zodiac signs, we've got Aquarius. Now, group number 2, having sun in Aquarius can sometimes actually lead to someone who is pretty rebellious, who is a little bit like untamed, if you will. Aquarius is very detached of many situations. They're very original, unique, rebellious, independent. But once Aquarius does get attached to you, it can even turn into like an obsession. You know what I mean, group number 2? So having Aquarius sun within your reading, so Aquarius being their zodiac sign, it shows us here that, of course, they want to lead. They are a rebellious, independent type of person, but they also love really hard and really deeply. And when they do and they open up, it's magical, but you'll also have to do some freaky shit. That's just to be very blunt, straightforward, and honest with you, group number 2. But I think you'll enjoy it. I see here for you that just being with this person makes you feel safe, and it makes you want to do things you would have otherwise not wanted to do with anyone else. So next up, within decluttering, your future spouse is a very neat, tidy type of person. They love decluttering. They love to get rid of the old and bring the new in. They are a very put together type of individual. Their clothes are clean. They're always ironed, pressed, brought to the dry cleaners. They have amazing personal hygiene, and because they don't keep old things around for too long either, their fridge also, when you open it, there's always like fresh fruit and vegetable and great drinks in there too. A lot of meal prep that is done for them. I'm getting meal delivery service that they're ordering because they also like to be practical, and they like to spend more time doing stuff that they love rather than spending a lot of time cooking. So I do also see here within decluttering that you will move in with your future spouse, and you will be celebrating the decluttering, the getting rid of your old stuff that you no longer need, even some boxes of things that you had from good for nothing exes that you're completely letting go of, because marrying your future spouse is just the culmination of everything you've ever desired. And here within the 1090 ratio, what this card actually means, which I created for the Wild Muse Oracle deck, is that you know the saying that goes, life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it? That is the philosophy that you and your future spouse are going to have within your marriage. Like, whatever happens, whether it's a rumor, whether it is a challenging time at your jobs, whether it is conceiving, doesn't matter. To you, life is 10% of what happens, 90% how you both choose to handle it. Rather than seeing one another as the issue or as the problem, you see the problem as the problem, and you both work together to solve issues. You are not pointing fingers at one another. You're not blaming one another for things that aren't working out. You're not arguing with one another because you know you want to be together anyways. What's the point in arguing with this person? What's the point in not being happy with your future spouse or spouse, period? You know what I mean? So you guys have just developed this almost like higher way of being with one another than most couples ever step into, and it will make you happier than you've ever experienced in any prior relationship. So I'm going to intuitively pull some letters for you from Spirit. So, okay, we have M, O, I. So this actually means me in French, moi. So I want you to know here that when it comes to your spouse, they are definitely someone who knows how to put themselves first. Your future spouse is someone who is me-centric. I'm just going to say how it is. And the thing here with your future spouse is that they are also the type of person who absolutely loves to spoil and pamper themselves. But that's not a bad sign, group number 2. Let me just remind you of the fact that when someone can pamper themselves, when someone can say, no, I deserve this, or I want this, or I need this, that, for one, means that they will be able to spoil and pamper you, because if they never spend money on themselves, what makes you think they will ever spend money on you or feel comfortable doing that? If they never take excellent care of themselves, what makes you think they will respect how much care you want them to take of you? You know what I mean, group number 2? So they have that within them. And also, I just want you to know that them knowing how to take care of their needs means that they know themselves enough to tell you what they need. And they're a very simple, straightforward person. They just tell you, this is what I need, this is how I'm feeling, and let's deal with it. And they give you a really easy roadmap to how to please them, how to make them happy in the relationship. And they kind of want the same from you. They want you to be a little selfish because it takes them out of usually focusing on themselves. Now, your future spouse is someone who in past relationships has done a lot of things just for themselves, just to please them. And their partners always added to that. They always gave and gave and gave. And they never kind of said, hey, this is what I want. This is what I expect. So be a little selfish, be a little difficult. Your future spouse likes that. They like a little bit of, not attitude, but a little bit of a challenge. You get what I'm saying, group number 2? Someone who gives them the same energy that they're giving out. Like if they're being a little cheeky, you be a little cheeky. If they put their pleasure first, especially in the bedroom, you put your pleasure first. You tell them, no, I want you to allow me to experience pleasure first. I want you to do this. I want you to touch me this way, to kiss me this way, to do this, to do that. that is what turns them on. They love actually being reciprocated with the energy of, hold up, yeah, you may want to put yourself first, as you usually do, and usually people let you get away with that, or they just do whatever you say, but not me. Actually, you're going to have to put in some work to please me. Let's see how you do things for me. So they like a bit of that challenge. They like a little bit of that rebellious nature from someone, because usually they're always the rebel and they're always the one who's doing that. So it excites them. It makes them feel like, oh, I got a bit of a challenge here. I got someone who isn't just allowing me to push them around. They won't tell you this, but this is something that you will notice actually makes them crazy about you. It makes them way more attracted to you than if you're just this quiet church mouse doing whatever it is that they tell you to do. It gets boring for them after a while, and then they start to just kind of retreat more, because they don't know how to tell you that it's boring, because on one hand they have everything that anyone could ever want, but then on the other hand they're like, why aren't I happy? And they don't know how to explain it. But I see here within your reading that the explanation is that they like a little bit of a challenge and a rebel within their life. Now, group number 2, leave a butterfly emoji below in the comment section to let me and others know that you're part of group number 2, because that's the only way you would know if you chose group number 2 and you made it to this point in your reading. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to clear and cleanse the space, and then I'll be right back for us to delve even more deeply into your prediction. Group 2, you don't need to do anything but continue to relax and hold on tight, and I'll be right back for us to figure out more important messages and everything that there is to know about your future spouse. Hello, group number... Oh, I wanted to introduce you back into your reading, but upon shuffling, we already have 2 cards that wanted to reveal themselves in context to your future spouse. So we've got the number 1 with the air spirit, and then we also have the frog spirit and number 20. So with the air spirit, can we get straight into how we had this Aquarius energy, and actually the element of air is the element of Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. So here we go, nice and clear, as you can see here within our air spirit. This represents knowledge. So actually your future spouse is someone who is highly intelligent. They're intellectually on a really high level, probably a lot more mature than a lot of their peers as well. And I see here with the air spirit that they are like a student for life. They love reading, they love podcasts, and they love educational podcasts. So quite literally speaking, like for example, Andrew Huberman podcast, I think that's one. For example, there's another one by Lewis Howes. Is that the School of Greatness, I think? There are countless different podcasts that they are into by all of these people who interview others who have had a lot of success or who have created things that have changed the world or shaped it in some way or form. And they're interested in continuously learning and growing academically too. So they're always trying to add on to the different accolades that they have, to the diplomas that they've got as well. And I do want you to know here within the frog spirit that a huge part of their life is also constantly finding a way to try things that are different than they've done in the past. Your person is pretty adventurous. Your future spouse is someone who loves to try out new diets, traveling to new places. They love also immersing themselves in different cultures. And the thing here in the frog spirit is that because of that, they have never been shy to date someone outside of their culture, outside of their country, outside of their race, their religion, their belief system. They're the type of person who feels as though there's so much to learn and to gain from people actually connecting more deeply with one another and also just accepting one another more. So your future spouse is a very open-minded, well-traveled, knowledgeable individual, and they're the type of person with whom you can have a lot of great conversations in the economic and political sense as well. Next up, we've got the wise woman of the grove. Okay, graceful. They don't like people throwing selves at them. They cannot stand it. They hate it, group number 2. They have had people who have thrown themselves at them in the past, wanting to be with them, wanting to even make some like advances at them sexually, so to say, and having to like block that off and say like, hey, no, this is going a little too far or too fast. Like, they cannot stand people who feel desperate. They love a wise woman of the grove, someone who is graceful, someone who also likes to take their time, who also is kind of selective of who they share their time and their intimacy with. And overall, they're the type of individual that likes to get to know someone before becoming intimate with them, especially physically intimate. They're so not into this whole hookup culture thing. Your future spouse is someone who likes someone that is classy and elegant. They also like when you dress in a classy and elegant way. So if you're single right now, group number 2, and you're looking to attract your future spouse, dress in a way that is extremely classy, that is very elegant. And even if you're in the beginning stages of dating, try to move things really slowly. At times, it may feel like you want to move forward, and they too want to explore more in a physical or sensual way, but you kind of holding back and just waiting those couple extra dates and a little bit of extra time before moving to that next level, it's actually going to ingrain a lot of respect for you in them. They may not consciously know it or even consciously say it, but subconsciously they like the wait, they like the chase, they like knowing that not everyone just has access to you, and that that access is special and rare, and it has to be earned. And the only way you can demonstrate this, group number 2, is by being super selective with how and when you spend time with them, and also how quickly you allow access to yourself from them, and from being like, you know, making out, being physical, like jumping into bed with them. You get the idea. Next up, we've got the spirit guardian of summer. Now, the spirit guardian of summer shows us here that your future spouse is someone who wants to build like a legacy. They want to be able to expand everything that they have, whether that is financially, whether that is the home that they live in, whether those are travel plans. They want to multiply and expand everything. And another thing that they also want is an expansion of family. They would like a big family. They want multiple kids. They want multiple pets, dogs, cats. They want the whole 9 yards, and someone may have to intervene and tell them, hey, this is a lot of work, by the way. This is a big commitment. But as of right now, they just have that idyllic outlook of wanting to expand everything around them and just have more of everything that feels like closeness and family and love and a bond. That's what they want with the right person. But of course, this can also change and adjust over time. Group number 2, but at the moment, yeah, they would like to have everything that we see in the movies. Next up, we've got the wolf spirit, and the wolf spirit confirms family is important to them. Your future spouse, group number 2, they have in many instances been the lone wolf. They've had to do so many things on their own, fight for themselves, fight for their own right. They felt like the odd one out in so many different ways and shapes. And even in school, like, they were never super popular. They've always been a little bit like iced out, as you can see depicted here. We quite literally have the wolf depicted, and it's all about them now feeling like they have a place of belonging and like a spouse and a family of their own where they can actually come home to, and they feel valued and respected and wanted, and like a sense of belonging is here, because that's the thing, like, everyone just wants to belong. That's a big part of human nature, and undeniably hitting that nerve of making them feel like they belong, group number 2, that is where you really get them to fall in love with you. So if you want them to be obsessed with you, be in love with you, make them feel special, make them feel like they belong, and they will be yours forever. Next up here, we have the 2 of Swords, which shows us that a choice has to be made. And your future spouse is thinking right now that they're not sure precisely what they want to do. They're not sure what decision that they want to make next in their life when it comes to their career, because they have so many options. One option that I can also see here is moving overseas, is moving to a different place. And they aren't sure if they want to leave everything behind, but at the same time, they're also really excited for this new opportunity, and they're also hoping that if they find love, that that person can come with them and can experience this with them. Next up, we have the Four of Pentacles. So the Four of Pentacles shows us here that your future spouse is someone who is good at saving, they're good at managing their resources. And the thing here is that because of this, it's even possible for them to do a lot of the things that other people may only be able to dream of. Another thing here within the Four of Pentacles and the Two of Swords is that they are just a little bit worried about living costs in the new country, and they are also a little bit worried about not being in a situation where they can provide the lifestyle that they want to provide. So it is important for them to always be financially sound and safe. So making upcoming decisions about their work and their finances is definitely something that's keeping them up at night, because they want to make the right choice. They want to take a business opportunity that will end up increasing the bottom line of their bank account and also their experiences. And they also want to ensure that they can fully enjoy that. Even if you guys are apart, that they can fly you out or just make sure that you guys still get to see one another, and that the connection can continue to grow while exploring new cultures and new places with one another. That's one thing that I want you to know here about your future spouse. So next up, we have Gemini energy. Gemini energy is about cross-pollination. If you identify as a Gemini, then I definitely see here that any issue can be solved. You are the type of person who is almost relentlessly positive and solution-oriented, group number 2. And your future spouse loves that. They love how much you are dedicated to always finding solutions. They love how much you are actually into working together too. So it's not like they feel like you're taking away from their strength or from their capability at all. They just feel as though you're here to support, you're here to help. So you're not undermining their capabilities. You're just supporting and showing that if there's any way in which you can make things easier, you will. You can roll up your sleeves. You can dedicate some of your life to hard work. That's not an issue for you. You're someone who has done that in the past. You can do it again. You are a pretty agreeable person once you've found someone worthy of experiencing that side of yours. Next up, we've got the solar calm. Now, the solar calm is about clarifying. The solar calm is about making it abundantly clear what you desire, and your future spouse is going to do that pretty quickly, pretty early on. If you're asking yourself whether someone is your future spouse and you've been in a situationship with them or dating them for a long time and you still don't know, let me tell you that is not your future spouse, because the solar calm shows us here that the only way to have a calm relationship is to clarify what both parties want. Your future spouse is someone who isn't afraid of this clarification. They're a chatterbox. They're not afraid to voice what they want, what they desire. And they've hurt a lot of people's feelings by doing that, because a lot of people have wanted to be with your future spouse, but they had to tell them, look, it's just not for me. Remember how we spoke about the wise woman of the grove? So your future spouse has had a lot of individuals throwing themselves at them, even making like sensual advances towards them that they didn't want, that was too soon. They were just not into it because it was just too easy. And they had to say to all of these people, and I'm talking like 4 or 5 people just in the last months that have tried to become partners with your future spouse, that have tried to force their way into a relationship with them. And your future spouse just had to say, look, this is not, I'm not interested in this. Actually, I don't see us being more than just acquaintances, or I just don't see this going anywhere. And your future spouse had to let them down. Your future spouse had to reject quite a few people at this point. And the thing is, they always do it in such a loving way that people don't even realize that they've been rejected. It's like your future spouse knows exactly what to say, so people don't feel so bad about actually having been rejected, and that they don't feel so much like failures, losers, like lesser than. Your future spouse avoids that at all costs. Your future spouse is so diplomatic. Your future husband and wife is the type of person who is extremely loving in their approach to the truth. And yeah, okay, it still hurts once you go away and you realize what happened, but in the moment, they have such a magnificent way of shooting people down, of rejecting people, that they don't even notice what just happened to them. And I see here within Guide that actually the person that you'll marry is someone who has seen so many different places on earth. Like, they would be a fantastic guide when doing a safari or going out into like a desert hike or camp or something, because they have really great skills at orienting themselves. So they have most likely also experienced something like lots of camps when they were growing up, like scout camps, if that makes sense, where they learned basic things like lighting fires in the wilderness and figuring out what direction to walk in, like how to read maps, all of that outdoorsy stuff. So when it comes to that, they're pretty savvy. They are the type of person who could probably survive in the wilderness for a couple of days or weeks. And they will also want to go on some hikes and do some outdoor activities. They see themselves as having a big family with a dog that looks almost wolf-like, really. A large family, right? Expanding. Kids, dog, going out on hikes, being out in the nature. That's something that they really want. That's what they see as idyllic. They don't want to constantly be kind of in the concrete jungle that they have to be in every single day now. They don't always want to be connected to the internet and online and available for others to reach via phone calls or emails. They don't like that. They don't want that. It's not something that makes them feel good. It's actually something they want to get away from more and more. And they're also a pretty minimalistic type of person. So they don't need much. They look very put together and clean, and they have everything that they need, maybe a little more, but they're not a hoarder. They don't collect a lot of things. They like to digitalize most of their stuff. So you'll notice that your future spouse, like their mail, for example, everything comes digitally. They don't like to have any paper traces. They also have a Kindle. They don't like to read that many books and have the physical copies. They like to read books on Kindle. And again, the audiobooks, the podcasts, that's an important part of their life. And you'll notice that when they're active, they're working out, they're at the gym or going on walks, they don't listen to music, they listen to their podcasts. They got so used to that because they try to learn as much as they can. And I know this sounds really extreme, but your future spouse at one point just thought, listening to music is a waste. When I'm working out for an hour, I could literally be consuming new knowledge in this hour. Let me listen to a podcast or listen to an ebook. So they're the type of person who is just always learning, and also biohacking. I do see that they're trying to constantly renew from the inside and out, like renewing their cells. They even go as far as to get IVs as well, because that's just something that they believe in, that they think is an amazing way to renew the body in a medical controlled sense as well. And the thing about like renewal and expansion is that they want to live for a long time. They want to have good life quality for a long time, and they want to be mobile. They don't want to just be old, but suffer or not be able to enjoy life. To them, life quality, mobility, and doing the same for you and the family they want to create with you is so important to them. It is a absolute non-negotiable. Now, group number 2. Please leave a wolf emoji below in the comment section if you made it to this point of your reading, to let me and others know that you're part of group 2 and you've made it this far. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to clear and cleanse the space, and then we will continue on within your reading about everything that there is to know when it comes to your future spouse. So group 2, just hold on tight and I will be right back with you. All right, group 2, let's delve more deeply into your prediction, shall we? So first up, we have Letha, as well as the scrying mirror. Okay, so here within Letha and the scrying mirror, I can see some symbolism that's important for you. Mirrors are an important symbol that will show you your future spouse and when they're coming into your life. I know this sounds really creepy, but when you look in the mirror and you kind of feel like there's an intensification, so almost like there's something near you, but it feels positive. It doesn't feel like a creepy ghost or something like that, but you look in the mirror and you feel like soon you'll be looking in the mirror together with a partner, with your spouse. When you look in the bathroom mirror, rather than just looking back at just yourself, you can envision them standing right next to you. That's one thing that I see here. That feeling will intensify the closer you are to actually having that person in your life. If they are already the one and they're in your life, obviously you'll already be looking at them every morning or in the evenings in that way anyways. But for all of you who do not have your future spouse yet, here we've got the spell, and I want you to know that spells are more powerful than we give them credit for. Just the other day, literally, I was talking about this person that I hadn't seen in like a decade, okay? This is like someone that I used to like date. It was like first boyfriend situation, and like literally they messaged me. Like it wasn't like a real thing, but you know, at that age you take it so seriously. That was literally like 10 years ago, and then they messaged me 2 days later, and imagine, I have not seen this person in a decade. So when you speak about someone, and I spoke highly of them, I said that was actually an amazing little childhood crush situation to have had, because they were so kind and really kind of set the bar for how a partner or a man should be, even though it wasn't so serious at the time. It was just like, you know, a little crush thing. I just want you to know, yeah, then 2 days later, after I spoke highly of them and said, you know, they were actually one of the more fond experiences of my dating life, I said that to a really good friend of mine. And then that person messaged me after like a decade, 2 days later, just literally speaking into existence that they were kind, that they're someone that I'm happy I got to have in my life at that point in time, and how they were actually someone that I think another person will be happy to be with, to be married to have as a future spouse, which is just so telling to the power of manifestation and writing things down. So group number 2, also don't be afraid to write things down. I had written this down. It was in a text to my friend that I manifested this. However, you can write things down in a manifestation journal, in a journal where you just write down whatever is going on in your life, whatever is going through your mind, and in which you manifest the things that you desire day by day. Now, in the 8 of Crystals, you will find that the more you do this, the faster manifestations actually are able to come true and occur within your life. So the more that you practice the writing it down, the feeling it before it has happened, that's really important with manifestation. You have to feel the emotion ahead of time in order for the manifestation to be able to take place. It doesn't work if you just write it down, but you don't feel it could actually be true. Then nothing's going to happen, and you're literally going to actually confirm that manifestation doesn't work for you because you didn't feel it would in the first place, and then it further confirmed that. So here within the 6 of Blades, I just want you to know that an important part of manifesting is believing, is moving from a place of non-belief to actually believing it. In a lot of the traditional tarot decks, you will find that the 6 of Blades depicts waters that are choppy, such as here, and then kind of sailing into waters that are smoother. So the choppy waters would represent you still wrestling with yourself, being in conflict with yourself, of your manifestations actually being something that can be true. And then the smooth sailing that you're moving towards in the Six of Blades, that you're sailing towards rapidly, quickly, would then represent the fact that now you believe it, now you feel it, now it's something that is actually like in your mind possible. And that makes all of the difference when it comes to manifesting and bringing your future spouse into your life. So if you're asking yourself how you can manifest them into existence like that, all right, you have to put the feeling of them being a possibility exactly how you want them. You have to make that feeling a reality through meditating, through writing it down, through actually believing it day in and day out. Next up, we've got temperance for you. Now, group number 2, within temperance, I see here that your future spouse is someone who is very much a sporadic drinker, and they don't consume substances really. They don't smoke. They barely drink. They do so very, very sparingly because they just don't like it. They've had that time in their life where they partied a little more, where they did more wild things, so to say, whereas now they do everything within a certain limitation just because they're more focused on building their future rather than drinking. And they don't like how that ruins their gym gains. That's what I'm getting from Spirit. They work out, they've got like big upper arm muscles, and they have a very specific kind of goal physically, and they don't want to jinx it and jeopardize it and ruin it by drinking alcohol and by just living an unhealthy lifestyle, really. They don't want that. To them, their health is really important. And so in temperance, you will find that that is something that they don't really play with. I see here within the meadow that your future spouse is someone who actually grew up near a big meadow, near a big field, near a lot of nature. So ask them where they grew up, and they will tell you that it was a place where they often went to this meadow to play, to, as a child, just be, run around, explore the plants and all of the little bugs that were around there, the caterpillars. And I want you to know here that for them, being in a place of nature is being vulnerable. They have been in offices for so long that they almost forgot what it felt like to feel vulnerable, to feel comfortable around another person. And the whale just shows us here that your future spouse is just waiting for an opportunity to be with you and to be able to breach from where they're used to be able to get out of this place of just being professional, just having friends, but not like a lover that they can confide in. You know, they're really missing that. That's something that makes them sad at times or makes them feel lonely in many ways, because they just wish there was someone here with whom they could share this lifestyle, these thoughts, and their vulnerability with as well. I'm getting mother wounds here. And why I'm getting these mother wounds is because they feel as though in many ways they wish they could have protected their mother from the outside world, and even their father too. They wish they could have protected their mother and their sister from certain experiences in life and certain ways in which they were vulnerable, and then that was taken for granted, and your future spouse saw that firsthand, and they would never want this to happen to you or to their daughters ever. So they're pretty protective about vulnerability. They have very strong opinions about children and what should and should not be allowed around kids, whether it's strangers, you know, people that you don't know, whether it's certain TV shows and media. They feel as though vulnerability and childlike sense of wonderment is to be protected at all costs. I see here within Confessions that you will learn of a lot of tragic and very traumatic things that they know of that has happened to kids, and especially women in their life, and that has made your future spouse so protective. And for them, they are the type of person who is not to be messed with when it comes to protecting those who can't stand up for themselves. They are the type of person who is non-violent, but say if they were in a bar or a restaurant and there was a woman or a young girl by themselves, and they would notice that there's a man like eyeing her up and making her either uncomfortable there or even following her to somewhere, like your future spouse is the type of person who would follow that man, that individual, and literally like get physically violent if needed, just to make it clear that this person needs to get it the F together. Like your future spouse is super protective in that sense. And also with animals, they cannot stand violence against animals, and they also try to like not consume as many animal products, whether it be like buying leather, whether it be eating a lot of meat. They try to really keep that on the low. Now, in updates to your system, your future spouse is someone who's kind of nerdy. They love like techie type of things, and they will bring updates to you. So if your phone is outdated, group number 2, if a lot of your programs on your phone or your laptop, your apps, programs, how old am I? If a lot of your apps on your phone and your laptop are way out of date, they need updates and so on, trust me, your future spouse is the one who's going to do all that, and you're not going to have to worry about that anymore. They are like the manager of everything that has a cable within your household. They are the type of person who is going to take care of all of these things that you find uncomfortable or you don't like dealing with that have to do with technology and setting all of that up. Also things such as lighting and lighting concepts within your home that you're in together. They will deal with all of that, group number 2. You're not going to have to deal with any of that. The updates to your system is where you can focus on yourself, and they do everything in the sense of technology that you try to avoid doing. Now, group number 2, I am going to clear and cleanse the space one more time because I do feel like we have a couple additional messages about who your future spouse truly is and everything that there is to know about them. So you can continue to enjoy, relax, while I clear and cleanse the space, group number 2. So just hold on tight, and I'll be right back for us to delve even more deeply into your personal reading. Hello, group number 2, and welcome to the continuation of your reading that's all about who your future spouse is. So I want us to delve even more deeply into this reading, just picking up all of the cards from this Mystic Mondays tarot deck, which I have loved for years. This is one of my favorite decks ever. So let's get further into it, group number 2, and see precisely who your spouse is. Now, first up, we have the 10 of Swords in reverse. So I see here that your spouse is someone who always comes back and bounces back from any type of argument. So if you're the type of person that gets upset, that can sometimes voice their opinion in a manner that may hurt others' feelings, good news for you, group number 2, because your spouse is someone who doesn't take things personally. Your spouse is someone who always completely understands where you're coming from because they actually take the time and effort to get you, to understand you, to show you that they care. And the 10 of Swords in reverse shows us here that they themselves understand what it's like to feel misunderstood in such a deep way that when you get into any type of heated discussion with your spouse, they don't take anything too personally. They are mature enough to know that it's just momentary feelings. Next up, we have the 5 of Swords reverse. Again, they're completely just avoidant of any type of conflict. They hate conflict of any sorts. It is not their thing. It's not their vibe, not their jam. They don't entertain fights or any type of grudge holding either. They're the type of person who will just tell you if they're upset, and then they'll discuss it with you and they'll move on. They're not the type of person who will secretly be holding a grudge and secretly be thinking that they're still mad at you. They don't play those games. For them, life is way, way too short, group number 2. And I also just see here that They're not avoidant to the degree that you can't talk to them about conflict. That's not it. They just don't like unnecessary conflict and unnecessary discussions and arguments. The Four of Wands shows us what they want to do instead. They want to build on a solid foundation. They want to create something. You see here how we have the four goalposts and we have the squares, and this signifies building something on a solid foundation. As you can see, a lot of buildings built in this way with just four corners and kind of a square shape are pretty solid, I would say. There are also some round ones that are said to be extremely solid too. I think in some ways round shapes can be even more solid, but it's less conventional. And I would say it's harder to furnish if you have something that's kind of round. But here within the Four of Wands, you get the idea what your future spouse is more interested in is building rather than arguing. They try to avoid arguments. They try to avoid friction and fights. They want to build. And when you have an argument with them, it is important for them that everyone comes out of the argument feeling more understood, more heard, and in a way closer, more bonded, rather than, focusing on feeling like you won or you were right or anything like that. They don't care about that. They have won too many arguments, but then had crappy relationships thereafter to think that it is worth ever risking your connection just to be right or just to satisfy the ego. Next up, we have the Knight of Wands. Now, the Knight of Wands makes it extremely clear that when it comes to your future spouse, we've got someone here who likes to have fun, okay? They like a good game night. They like to play board games. They like to go out and play team player games as well, okay? So going to the casino, not in a way of them being like addicted to gambling. I don't mean that, but going out with friends to an arcade thing, to a 3D simulation place. The Knight of Wands just shows here that they like to have fun, they like to be active, they like to do things such as also sports in the sense of golf. That's one thing I'm getting here in the Knight of Wands, a sophisticated type of sport where they get to talk to their friends. And with you or family, board games are cool too. They used to play Wii. Do you remember Nintendo Wii? I used to love that. So they are a big fan of things similar to that. They had a Wii. They used to play Wii Sports. They're into all of these things that kind of combine gamifying things with actually being social, with having fun. Next up, we have the Four of Swords. So for you, group number 2, in the Four of Swords, I can see here that your spouse is someone who carries the weight of the world on their shoulders, and they always have. There are a lot of things that they keep to themselves that they're still processing and going through, and that have actually created a lot of art for them. So your spouse is someone who's artsy. I see that they either engage in music or art in the sense of like painting. And the Four of Swords shows that a lot of the unprocessed emotions or unfinished business that they have from childhood, they channel into their artwork directly. There is like no second guessing, no going to therapy for them. They may be open to going to therapy with you, but for their own healing, for their own process of overcoming trauma, they like to just channel what they're going through straight into art directly. So it is important for them to have that outlet, and that is something that they never want to lose, of course. So it's important that you give them space to do that. And they also like creating art for you. So creating songs for you, painting you, poetry for you, group number 2. They like to channel a lot of pain into art and then turn it into something that actually feels like love. And you would never know that what they created stems from a place of pain. You know how a lot of artists and musicians, they create songs that, some breakup songs are really dark and stuff, but some of them, they're kind of fun. They're funny in many ways. We've got to laugh when they turn their pain into something that not only is art, but is also amazing to listen to sing to dance to. And it's almost like an anthem of overcoming hurt and pain. So that's what I mean here. Your person is great at doing that too. Rather than allowing for something heavy to fester, they turn it into a positive. I see here within the Ace of Cups that for your spouse, this is completely new. The connection with you is something unlike they've ever felt before. The ace always represents a new beginning, something fresh, something unknown, and a new start altogether. So if you have a situationship right now in your life, I always am very honest on this channel, whether you want to hear it or not. Your situationship, if this reading so far has not resonated with them, then know that your spouse is not them. But also remember, wouldn't your spouse want to be with you? I mean, I'm no expert at love and relationships, but wouldn't your spouse want to make sure you're not in a situationship? You know what I mean? Group number 2. So the Ace of Cups definitely shows us here an amazing new beginning of a relationship and a peaceful one. So if you've been through hell and back with a spouse that you're currently with, this is for all of you who aren't single or in situationships. I just want you to know that there's a new chapter on the horizon for you and your spouse, in which you will find that you can leave a lot of the past behind, and you've kind of outgrown all of these mechanisms and all of these patterns that you used to automatically fall into. They're falling away. It's no more a reality for you. It's no more something that you're actually engaging with or dealing with or harmonizing with. Next up, we have the Three of Wands. So alchemizing your futures together. I see that your future spouse is someone that you know is the right one, because you're not just hanging out together and doing Netflix and chill and spending amazing moments together being in the moment, but you're actually like looking into the future. You're actually looking into a bright future together. And you're both holding on to some dreams, some aspirations, a lot of talent too, a lot of what you can give and pour into a relationship. And you're ready to take all of that, both of you, with you on the journey to creating a life together, to creating joint ventures together, not just for you, but also, you know, potential family. And the Three of Wands just shows here that you guys are so ready to embark on this journey. Like, you and your future spouse are truly a match made in heaven, in the sense of knowing what you want and seeing a joint future with one another and not being afraid to just go for it. Next up here within the 7th house reverse, this is the house of relationships. Now, this card showing up in reverse, actually, it does correspond to the kind of meaning of marriage and relationships. The 7th house being the house of marriage and relationships, and this showing up in reverse just shows us here that your future spouse is someone that will come to you not as like a first or second lover, but after you've had some experiences, so that when they come into your life, you just know they're the one. You just know you found your husband, your wife, your spouse, your person that you want to be with forever. And I definitely see here in the 7th house reverse that this is the type of relationship that you don't need any external confirmation for. I mean, of course, it's beautiful to be able to receive this reading. Don't get me wrong, group number 2, but when you know, you know. That's what I'm getting here with your future spouse. And when you know, and you're deleting all of those old text threads from people who you used to talk to. You're deleting photos that you had with like any other people that you were dating or in love with, or that you thought might be potential spouses or partners, because they just don't even compare in the slightest to when you meet your future spouse, when this new person comes in, because it's a very new energy. So for those of you who are single or in situationships, this is someone that's not already in your life. This is a completely new lover, a completely new person, and they will kind of catch you off guard and by surprise. But when you know, you know. Next up, within In Touch with Your Body, I just want you to understand that when it comes to your future spouse and everything there is to know, they're very much like a health nut. As already mentioned, they love biohacking, they love working out, and they love drinking a lot of green stuff, okay, like leafy greens, watermelon, cucumber, just stuff that is healthy or known to be healthy. They're taking it. They're probably also taking some sort of algae supplement, some sort of spirulina type thing, matcha. you get the vibe here and in touch with your body. For them, it is so important to be radiant from the inside out. They don't care about all of this external stuff. And here within Confessions, they're going to actually confess to you that they have had some issues with their health and also with substances that were not good for them in the past, all right? So in Confessions, they have a little bit of a wild past, and that caused some health concerns for a while. And that health scare is what caused them to do a complete 180 and get back in touch with their body, with their soul, and no longer treat their body in an unloving manner, but now it is of the highest and utmost importance for them to move their body, to stay mobile, also to give their body the necessary fuel and nutrients that it needs, and to stay on track with their health checkups too. And here within Tell It Like It Is, your future spouse is also someone who gets invited to speak for their accomplishments. I'm getting like sports coach kind of vibes. I'm getting someone who has accomplished a lot when it comes to sports, when it comes to like something physical, okay, either like basketball, football. I'm also getting cricket for some reason, running, and they're the type of person that is really inspiring to others. So they were not a professional to a high degree when it comes to their sports because of, well, the health scare, the injury. But they went pretty far, and they did some things that people still see as admirable and as very much like something that they see as an inspiration. So your future spouse is definitely a source of support. Your future spouse is a source of adoration for a lot of people in their community, and they are also the type of person that motivates the younger generation to be on the right track, on a healthy track, to focus on their education and their health, and to not make certain mistakes or deviations from a healthy path that your future spouse experienced. So kind of transforming the youth and doing what they can to support the youth, that's really important for your future spouse, group number 2. So this is the reading that I received for you, group number 2. I hope that you enjoyed this very detailed, super extensive reading of your future spouse, and that it was insightful. If you made it all the way to this point, leave a watermelon emoji below in the comment section. That way me and others will know that you picked group number 2 and that you're a real one who received their entire reading. So since you've watched all the way to this point, it is safe to say that you are in the right spot. You feel comfortable, you're at home here on the channel, so don't forget to subscribe to my channel, as well as give this video a thumbs up. Furthermore, if you want more content and uncensored content that isn't available on YouTube for a smaller audience, where I even do personal reading giveaways and so on, you can find that on my Patreon, which is linked below in the description box. And aside from that, I have also linked my online store where you can find free downloadables, so you can get free readings in those downloadables. I've got a downloadable that has your zodiac signs free reading within it. And then I, of course, also have my courses that teach you how to become great tarot readers. And I have a wait list for my course that's coming up on how you can create, print, publish, and sell your own tarot or oracle deck. And of course, also my mentorship offerings. So if you want to be part of the super exclusive mentorship members program, and I am in touch with my mentees 24/7. We are in our own private little WhatsApp chat. I pull cards every single day to guide you. This is for any of you who are actually serious of creating more abundance in your life, more health, wellness, well-being, but this is especially for those of you who own your own businesses or are starting their own businesses, and you want advice every single day on exactly what to do from the tarot, psychic advice, then this is for you. This is the perfect membership to help guide you, and I promise you will see a change after just a few weeks within this membership and being in this community, where I send you readings every single day into WhatsApp, voice notes, messages, and you can really benefit from all of the knowledge which I have been able to collect throughout these years of building my little tarot and YouTube empire. So group number 2, all of the links can be found below in the description box. You guys, I love you so much. I'm so thankful for every single one of you for tuning in. I wish you an amazing day or night wherever you are in this world, and I can't wait to catch up with you during one of my upcoming readings. Hello, group number 3, and welcome to your reading about everything that there is to know about who your future spouse is. Now, you chose the Beyond Lemuria Oracle deck as well as the Clear Quartz Crystal. Let's first do a little close-up of the Clear Quartz. So you may have chosen this stone intuitively and this deck because what you need is clarity. The Clear Quartz Crystal is said to bring you clarity and knowledge that was otherwise kept hidden from you, and this is supposed to bring to light everything that you need to know. So it's the perfect stone for this type of reading. Now let's get into who your future spouse is, shall we? So that you can get the confirmation that you need, whether you're single, in a situationship, or currently in a full-blown relationship or marriage. This will give you all the answers you've ever sought out in regards to your future spouse. First up, we've got harmonic flight. So being with your future spouse is going to feel like you're both from another planet, like you're both extraterrestrials, and somehow you found this space on planet Earth together. You happen to be here and really understand one another, but not quite feel like you are actually meant to be from planet Earth. You get what I'm saying, group number 3? It's like you're both so different and so unique, but you have the same worldviews, and somehow you don't fit into a lot of groups here on planet Earth. You both have felt like you were the odd ones out. You both have felt like you were the kind of cycle breakers in your family of doing things differently, of trying out new ways of living, and just overall being more open-minded. And like you never truly had a huge group of friends, like you were never all that popular, and you really bond over the fact that you're different in so many ways, and that you both did stick out like a sore thumb in school as well as at your job and in the work things that you've done. And I see here within the infinite that actually your future spouse is someone who believes in infinite abundance and most likely has already started a side hustle or their own business idea. I see in the infinite that because they could tell that they have an infinite amount of ideas and a plethora of value to give, they're like, why should I confine myself to just like one job or one thing? Why shouldn't I just start my own thing? Why shouldn't I just like rake in the infinite amount of money that I can? Because duh, I'm talented, I have all of these amazing ideas, and I can that way also create infinite abundance for my future family and the future person I'll be with, i.e. you, group number 3. So harmonic flight in the infinite also shows here that you can talk with your future spouse forever. All right, it's like harmonious and philosophical conversations about everything under the sun, and there's just infinite ways of looking at it, and you are both so accepting and curious about one another's worldviews. Like one of you may think that, for example, the afterlife exists, that life after death is a real thing, that spirits exist, and then a different one of you feels like, well, maybe it's just all dark, maybe it's over, maybe there's nothing after death and it's just that was it. And you can both kind of bring your ideas and suggestions and also your viewpoints to the table and discuss them and look at all angles without anyone feeling offended and without anyone feeling like, oh no, I have to be right. So you're very mature and you very much are on the same level. You see eye to eye. Intellectually, you stimulate one another. I see that here in harmonic flight, we also have like a symbol of infinity, as you can see. And the infinite obviously represents, well, infinity in some sense. So you feel when you meet your future spouse as though you have known them forever, as though this is someone that you've known for years, for lifetimes, and now they're finally in your life and you can finally start doing this human chapter together. But both of you will land on this strong feeling and sense that somehow, even in the afterlife, You may be reincarnated somewhere else in this multiverse as two beautiful beings like we've got here, two beautiful Lemurian beings, two aliens, extraterrestrials on a different planet, beautiful and still in love with one another, and just continuing your journey and your adventure together beyond this lifetime. And I see here within the starseed elemental that this confirms the notion. So for all of you who are new to this kind of like very woo-woo sounding stuff, the starseed means that basically you're from another planet, you're from another constellation, and being here on planet Earth sometimes feels like you're not on the right planet. So again, feeling like the odd one out, feeling different, feeling like you were placed here on planet Earth to bring light, though, to do some positive things on planet Earth. And I see here with the starseed elemental that you both fundamentally want to leave the world a better place than how it was upon your arrival, upon your birth into this incarnation. And you both have such a deep desire to create legacies where you've helped other people, where you have helped others heal, grow, you have been able to teach others to live a life that feels more meaningful. And I see here within the Knight of Blades reversed that actually you and your future spouse, you don't use that many words after a while with one another, because you can just feel, you can just sense. You don't even really need to say too much, you know, body language and just overall getting to know one another. At some point, things just work effortlessly, seamlessly. You don't even need to mention what you want. They can feel when you would like a hot cup of coffee or tea, when you would like a hot chocolate, when you're hungry, when you need a little neck massage, when you need a kiss, when you need a hug, when you need for them to give you words of encouragement. Somehow they just know it, they just feel it, and they're there for you in those moments. They provide that in those moments. At some point, you don't even need to hint it. You just know one another. And the same goes for them too. When they come back and they've had a tough day, and you talk to one another after you both had a long day, and they tell you, hey, you know, this and that happened. You're not pushing to tell them, oh, it'll be fine, you'll be good. You know that what they really need is just peace, quiet, harmony. They just want to cuddle with you on the couch and watch something and to just lay in your arms. They don't want you to do too much. They don't want you to overextend or make it a big deal, because that makes it a bigger deal for them. So the Two of Crystals shows us here that really you are two opposites that have found together in the most perfect way, and who just become one another's worlds. It's like you're the sun for one another. You are everything. So your relationship is really what gives both of you life, and it's almost like you are lovebirds. You know how lovebirds, they just have one partner for their entire life, and some of these birds, when their partners perish, like they cannot carry on living. Yeah, if you could die from a broken heart of like pain when a spouse leaves or dies, that is connection number 3. And I know it sounds very dramatic and traumatic and scary, but at the same time, think of how fortunate you would be for your future spouse to be by your side your entire lifetime until the end. I know the end then sounds scary and sad and everything like that, but in a way there is like a dark romance to it, isn't there? There is like a little bit of a like messed up romance to being together forever and then not being able to live without the other. I mean, certainly to me, there is something about it that just sounds crazy, dark, romantic, ethereal. Next, we've got the Six of Crystals. Now, your future spouse, what you need to know about them is that they are a winner. They attract good luck, always. They have never lost anything for long in their life. They may have, for example, made some money with a first business idea and then lost it all, made a lot of money. But then it actually just gave them insight into how to go back and do even better again, and make 10 times more and then actually retain half of it, you know? And the Six of Crystals just shows here that they have a lot of belief in themselves. Like your future spouse is not the type of person that feels as though anything can stop them. So they've come from a household and from a background where their parents gave them a lot of confidence. Your future spouse is someone who, for some people, is even kind of cocky. Next up here in the Seven of Cups reverse, I do see that once you enter one another's lives, all the other options, they fade away. The Seven of Cups upright is actually a card of romantically and emotionally speaking having a lot of options, as you can see. But this card showing up in reverse shows us that these cups, you know, they're emptying out basically. They're void of options, and you don't need options anymore when the Seven of Cups shows up in reverse, because you've chosen your option and you've found the best one for you. And the beautiful thing is that you both feel that way. The gorgeous thing is that you and your future spouse both deeply believe that. It's not just one person having a mega crush on the other. It's actually that you both are so madly in love with one another that there's just nobody else. No one else even exists. No one else could even come close to your connection. It's really, in a sense, it's indescribable. Next up, we've got the Two of Pentacles reverse. Now, we have so many infinity symbols here for you and your future spouse. We've got it here in the Two of Pentacles reverse, which we will get into in just a second. We have an infinity symbol here in the infinite. We have it again here within the harmonic flight, so 3 times the infinity symbol, 888. And the infinity symbol is so strongly represented within your reading because your future spouse's connection is just one that you don't come by very often. A lot of people settle in romantic relationships. A lot of people just opt for what allows them to pursue their career, what seems like it's the right moment, what seems like it's a agreeable person and partner to be with, but it's not true love. It's not actually being like in a relationship that you're so proud of and excited to be in forever. But not with you, group number 3. Your relationship is one of those ones that you can only dream of having. And your future spouse here in the Two of Pentacles reverse, I see that they will work in a lot of different companies. They will build and sell companies, but one thing that will always stay consistent is what they have with you, is their home life and what's important to them in that sense. Now, death is a positive card, they say within tarot, as it does represent transformation and change and letting go of the old that no longer serves anyone. I want you to know here in the death card and with your relationship that actually you and your future spouse, when it comes to death, literally, you're going to outlive a lot of people and you will experience some moments where you have to deal with death, group number 3. And I hope you can appreciate my honesty. If you can and you're still here, do leave a little snake emoji below in the comment section, as the snake is symbolic of a rebirth and transformation and, you know, shedding its old skin. So here within the death card, I just want you to know that the death of pets, of great-grandparents, grandparents, even parents, as you're with this person for an entire lifetime with the spouse, these are all things that you will experience with this person by your side. And for one, it is really painful, but on the other hand, it is so beautiful to have someone to do this thing called life with. And not to get morbid, but you guys know I like to keep it real on this channel. Let's just call a spade a spade. This thing called life, it is scary as hell, because guess what? None of us are going to make it out alive. So we might as well have someone fantastic by our side to go through the most amazing parts of life with, and also grief, and to just have someone to hold our hand up until the end. And I see here within the Knight of Wands that they are a very funny person. Your future spouse is someone who tells the best jokes. They are such a fun, adventurous person to be around. They have this strong fire sign representation within their birth chart. Fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The Knight of Wands shows us that they like to dance, they like to have a good time. They are the type of person who you can always count on to make appropriate jokes at the appropriate time, to make everybody laugh. They are the type of person who is not only funny, but also very well dressed, well mannered. They look good, they always look put together. And they're also the type of person who prides themselves on their appearance, and they want you to look good as well. So they will encourage you to wear nice clothes. They will take you shopping. They will give you their opinion on what looks good on you. And they will be that person that you can go to before you leave the house and be like, hey, honey, does this look good on me? What do you think? Do you prefer the other one? And they'll actually give you good advice. They won't just say something. Yes, in the harp here, we have them being a very expressive person. This is confirmed by your guides. It came at just the right time here within your reading. Now, they are the type of person who is vocal, who is expressive, who will tell you what they're feeling, what they're going through, and what they think of stuff. Now, sometimes that can be annoying when you don't want an opinion, but I would say most of the time you guys are mature and in love enough to actually be cool with sharing one another's opinions without judging and without taking anything personally if it's not always an opinion from them that you want to hear. They're also a super inspiring person. They're the type of person where once you get past the hard exterior, past the hard shell, it's like they've got a pearl in there. They've got a gem within them that is just waiting to be discovered by you, group number 3, and they are so sought after by others. Let me tell you, your future spouse is like the dream person. Your future spouse is what you see in Instagram reels, you know, some of these perfect couples, and you're like, oh, kind of jealous and kind of fascinated and kind of asking yourself, how did they find this person? How are they so photogenic? How are they able to create all of these beautiful memories and film them together and everything like that? Let me tell you, your future spouse is an amazing photographer. Your future spouse is amazing at taking like videos, film, photos of both of you, at just solidifying those memories, literally making photo books of vacations and also like video montages. I wanted to say collages, but the collages would be for the photos, but I mean video montages of both of you and creating these memories that both of you will be looking back on years later, and also you will be able to show kids and grandchildren and all of your family, and literally everyone is just so jelly at the fact that your person is so talented, so in love with you, so obsessed with you. It is completely clear that they are like obsessed to the max with you in a healthy way still, group number 3, and the way that they look at you is just, it's like in a movie. Like, it makes me melt even just thinking about it, group number 3. The way they look at you with such depth, with such love, with such adoration, with such respect, and putting you on a pedestal in the most beautiful way. I see here within Lord Shiva that the person that is your future spouse is the type of intuitive being that always honors what they feel like doing. So even your proposal, it's going to be so intuitive. It's going to be so much of a thing rooted in just feeling that it's right, and then doing it, and then proposing, and then getting down on one knee and just asking you, even if it was impromptu and they literally just had to like run into a jewelry store, into a little Tiffany's or Harry Winston, like half hour before they propose, because they just knew today's the day that I want to propose. So they have a lot of spontaneity, but they still make sure that it's not so spontaneous that they, for example, get you a ring out of like a vending machine. Not that that can't be romantic, but the thing is, like, they never want to half-ass something just because it's spontaneous. They always want to give you the best of the best. And here within El Moria, I want you to know that they are the type of individual who always wants you to be protected, and they always want you to feel loved. And I want you to also understand that if they can, they will put some security measures in place that may seem too much, but at the end of the day, everyone's happy for it. Like, for example, making you share your location if you're going out for a run, or you're going somewhere where you will be walking in a parking lot anytime by yourself. And it's not like they're making you as in forcing you in a rude way, but it's just that they want you to be safe, and it is so important for them that you are able to feel protected, and like if anything were to happen, at least people know where you are or where you just were. Now let's see who they truly are, group number 3. Oh wow, we've got Mercury. We were just talking about revealing who they truly are. They are a snack. I mean, look at Mercury. I mean, group number 3. I'm a little jealous. Mercury is all about that open communication. I also see some abs there. I see some really long, beautiful, like bronze colored hair. We've got these light brown, almost honey colored eyes. We've got a face that's very handsome. And I can see here that they love to talk, they love to communicate. They love to communicate from a place of love. They barely ever get angry. And to them, it's more important to just communicate openly and honestly and be heard than to be right. And they are also the type of person who is really a snack, who's really good looking. But it's almost like they don't really realize it too much because their identity isn't built on their looks. They weren't always this handsome and this good looking. They really ripened into this little gem of a snack later on within life. And the thing here within Mercury is that they are really great with anything that has to do with technology. So if you're not great at, updates on your laptop or your phone, or just like setting things up in your home, like smart home things, they are the person to do this and to organize this for you, because they're into all of this techie stuff that actually upgrades your life, that doesn't just like waste money. They'll get it for you anyways. Don't worry about the price tag, because they're so into it and they want to make your life better and easier. So of course they'll surprise you with all this techie stuff that you'll think to yourself, why is this my gift? I actually would have preferred like this perfume or this outfit or this trip with them, or going to the opera, or going to see this show or this concert. But then when every single day you get to like use this very like techie kind of like gift thing, you'll think to yourself, okay, like maybe this was actually like a nice gift, because every single day I get to use it and I get to like control all of the lights in my home from here. I get to control the temperature. I get to like feel a little bit fancier than I would have. And they really are all about like upgrading the day-to-day things within your life that maybe you wouldn't have thought about. So group number 3, we are now going to clear and cleanse the space and delve even more deeply into who your future spouse is and everything that there is to know about them. Please do leave, I wanted to say an infinity symbol, and I think it does exist within the emojis. Leave that below, and if you can't find it, do leave a planet, like the planet that looks like Saturn. Leave that below in the comment section. There's literally one planet that isn't Earth, I think, in the emojis. And leave that in the comment section. Okay, it can also be planet Earth if you're confused. You're hopefully not confused about picking planet Earth out of the emojis. If you are, then we have to go back to geography classes. But all jokes aside, group number 3, I will now clear and cleanse the space. Just continue relaxing into your reading, and I'll be back so we can delve more deeply into your psychic prediction about who your future spouse is. Hello, group number 3. Let's carry on more deeply into your reading so we can figure out more details about your future spouse that you can't get anywhere else but right here with your big sis. So let's see precisely what's going on here with your future spouse. I want to figure out for you who they are deep on the inside, how they are when it comes to their character, and what people love most about them. And then we'll also move into some more details about how you're going to meet them and all of the in-betweens. So first up, we've got the Eremit. So this is the Hermit. The Eremit is basically in German. And I want you to know here in the Hermit that at the core, actually your person, your future spouse, they are a complete introvert. They are the type of person who on an external plane, they get along with everyone. You know, those people who just never have beef with anybody. They're just always cool with every single person that they meet. No one ever has anything bad to say about them. Somehow they can get along with anyone, no matter their background, their religion, their political views. Somehow they find a way to vibe with everyone, even if they don't agree with that person's outlook, or even if they wouldn't be besties with them. Somehow they just manage to be in the good books of everyone. That's your future spouse. However, this can be draining. This is not something that's easy to them. So here within the Hermit, it is clear that your future spouse also spends a lot of time by themselves out of choice, okay? And your future spouse is also the type of person who would rather be alone than be in a relationship with someone that gets under their skin and that is unhealed. Your future spouse has spent so much time healing. They want to find someone who's healing as well, or healed, let's put it that way. And here, in holding this lantern and being in the dark, your future spouse finds that often the best ideas come to them when they are in sleep, in relaxation, in kind of wind down mode, if you will. So I do see here within the Hermit that they love to also just retreat to do their best, deepest work, because being in an office or in a space with like a lot of other people constantly surrounding them, it makes it hard for your future spouse to actually focus and actually create things that are beyond the norm, that are way more intriguing than what everyone else is doing, because they always want to differentiate themselves from the crowd. I see here, oh, okay, we have the Emperor. I see in the Emperor that your future spouse has a huge presence. So energetically, when they enter a room, heads turn. People want to know who this person is. Everyone gets up to shake their hand and to welcome them and to kind of call them by their last name and be like, hello, Mr. Smith, like, so happy to meet you, so happy that you're here. And of course, that's just an example, but I just want you to know here within the Emperor that this is indicative of the fact that they're very wise, especially for their age. They're the type of person who has a lot of public recognition. They have a lot of kind of rights, if you will, or the ability to do stuff without blinking that others are not able to because of their social standing. And I do also just see here that they like order. They're the type of person who likes to plan ahead. They make a plan and then they execute. There are no ifs, ands, or buts. I definitely see here within the Emperor that they're also the type of individual that doesn't really associate with a lot of people because they don't find that a lot of people are on their level. So while they are the type of person who can get along with anyone, they're not close friends with just anyone and everyone. That's a big thing here within your future spouse. They have a lot of acquaintances, but not a lot of friends and not a lot of deep connections. They keep to themselves because they also don't want to be backstabbed unnecessarily by people who they trusted too soon. I also see here within the Three of Swords that they have been through a really devastating heartbreak. So I'm getting here that got all of this public recognition from everyone around them, but when it comes to their love life, they've been cheated on. They've been severely backstabbed to the point where their heart hurt for literally weeks. If you've ever been in a situation where you were devastated, where you had like heartache, heart pains almost, and just overall this like love sickness, if you will, for weeks, then you know what this feels like, or even months. And this is precisely what your future spouse had gone through. They went through an immense betrayal that could have actually knocked them off of their grind and off of their throne. It didn't. However, the crown definitely felt like it was slipping at times, because they're the type of person that once they trust with their life. And your future spouse has gone through some deep pain in the sense of like feeling like it was a divorce. So it could be quite literally that it was a divorce, but feeling they were so close to someone that they saw as their spouse that betrayed them in a way that they never thought possible. And I see that their ex is so sorry for what they did. Their ex wishes that they could take back the betrayal, the hurt that they caused, but they'll never be able to. And your future spouse has never spoken to their ex since then and does not want to speak to their ex after this type of betrayal. I'm getting here, they were in their zone. They were in business mode. They were minding their own business. That's what your future spouse was doing. And then their ex felt like they did not have enough attention, like they didn't get enough of love and just enough of this person that's going to be your future spouse. And they then went behind their back and cheated on them with someone actually close to your future spouse as well. So this was like the ultimate, let's just call it kick in the nuts. This was the ultimate betrayal, hurt, and pain that your future spouse has ever experienced. They have taken time to heal, hence why they also don't want to be with someone unhealed, because they know how it is in those beginning phases. When you're not yet healed, you're not yet ready for someone new. And if you then get into a relationship, it's often not fair on the person that you are in that connection with. So your future spouse's non-negotiable is to be with someone who is fully healed and fully over an ex. Next up, we've got the boat. So on a lighter note, I want you to know that your future spouse is someone who received money through property or through inheritance, winning, windfall, just some sort of, it seems almost like a coincidence, but they already in their heart knew that this was coming. So in the boat, they do come with some assets. They do come with some earthly belongings. This is not something that they're going to tell you immediately because, well, of course, they don't want to lead with what they own. But I definitely see here that your future spouse will bring some material stability with them. Next up, we have got the teapot. So they have a deep friendship with someone of the same sex, same gender, who identifies in a similar way as your future spouse. So if they identify as male, they have a very deep friendship with another male with whom they talk a lot of business all the time. I see here in the teapot, the boat, and the emperor that your future spouse, and I know a lot of you are straight women, he has a lot of friends, close male friends, who are into business, who are into making money, investing, and kind of in a way diversifying their assets as well. And they are meeting up like every single week, constantly talking about these investments, talking about how to make sure that they don't overpay unnecessary taxes, talking about the acquisition of more assets, of more things that they can bring into their life to create more financial flow and stability. And I see that this deep friendship is often over like a pot of tea, some non-alcoholic beverages. There will be like a beer every now and then or a glass of wine with like a nice dinner. But these are classy gatherings. These are classy meetings. Your future spouse is not the type of person who just wants to go out and get drunk and wasted. They have outgrown that time in their life. So I want to see when and what month of the year you are the most likely to actually finally connect with your future spouse. Okay, so if you're single, this is going to interest you greatly. So we have the month of May for you. Group number 3, the month of connecting with your future spouse, as well as April. So I see that these spring months are the months in which your luck is at the highest to bump into your future spouse and soulmate and twin flame, and for them to come into your life for good. So this is also the month of solidification of where you stand with this person. Now, this instant attraction and instant connection is definitely going to have you feeling as though, all right, this is an amazing person for me. This is someone that I vibe with instantly. The connection is there. The energy feels like this is a long-term thing, and you both won't think too long to commit to one another because you just know it just feels right. That's why they become your future spouse, because there aren't any doubts in your mind about who this person is and also what they will be able to provide moving forward in a relationship, emotionally, financially, spiritually. Next up, we have the 10 of Cups reverse. Now, what this shows is that family planning, moving in together, and, just having kids or pets of your own with your future spouse, this is more of a delayed thing. This is not something you're jumping into immediately. because you want to take your time. You're really enjoying the freedom that you have at the beginning. You're enjoying being intimate with them, doing a lot of kinky things behind closed doors with your future spouse, and just like enjoying the honeymoon period, really. And you are doing this strategically so that later down the line, you won't feel as though you rushed that and you didn't properly enjoy it. So here within the 10 of Cups reversed, I definitely want you to know here that you and your future spouse, you're taking your sweet time because you're also building together. You also want to watch the feelings, what you're building with your connection kind of grow and establish itself. And you want to see where this goes organically, what feels right. And in a way to also keep the sexual tension going by not giving your all and falling straight into routine immediately. Because I think often, and I'm no expert, but from what I've heard from friends, and even in some cases, I wouldn't say I experienced it myself, maybe just traces of it, like moving in together too quickly, giving them full access to you every single day of the week, right from the start, right after a couple weeks or months of knowing each other, almost basically living together, spending every night together, being together 24/7 whenever you're not at work or doing something else. Of course, it feels like the romance is just off the charts. It feels like the honeymoon phase. It feels nice. It feels like you have that mutual strong connection. But I think it lasts for a while and then it turns very mundane and almost boring. And it can feel, after a while, like you've fallen into a routine really quickly. And it's not to say it's something bad, all right? Here we have the Four of Wands. It is stable, but sometimes stability just isn't as exciting. And I see that what is of a lot of value for your future spouse, as well as for yourself, is to feel like there's still fun in this relationship, is to feel like there's excitement, like it's not mundane, like you're not kind of already in a routine so early on, because you want this to last for a really long time. And for something to last for a really long time, it has to remain interesting. Otherwise, it's going to slowly lose its appeal. And in a way, it's magic as well. So that is what I see that you're strategically both trying to preserve. And you and your future spouse, you've had your fair share of relationship experiences, and you don't want to repeat the same mistakes you've made in the past. So here within Tantric, I want you to know that we have like a body depicted here. We've got intimacy that is just more deep and profound than you've both ever experienced before. Now we've also got master number 11 here, and this master number is one of initiating. So know that your future spouse is going to be initiating a lot of intimacy, a lot of acts that you've never done before. I don't know how to keep this PG-13 here on YouTube because you guys know that censorship though. So within Tantric, I just want you to know that exploring one another's bodies is one of the things that you've never done in this way before. They will be the best lover you've ever had. You will be their best lover ever. They love your body exactly how it is, whether there are some lumps, bumps, some kind of like skin that isn't as smooth, stretch marks, whether you feel like things aren't as perky or as round or as small or as big as they should be. They're obsessed with your body exactly as it is. They love the smell of your body. They even love the smell of things such as like your sweat, your BO. I know this sounds so weird and so TMI, but after all, you guys know me. I'm not going to leave out any details. And they really just find your scent so intoxicating. They find you as a whole super intoxicating. And even though there are certain things that others would think is gross or disgusting, like for you, they make an exception. It's like you are the exception to the rule for them. Usually they wouldn't be so close. They wouldn't do the things that they're doing with you. But something is just different about your relationship. And I want you to know here within Threatened that what I also see here is that some insecurities may come up when it comes to losing you and the fear of losing you, feeling that threat. And I see that here in connectivity to the Three of Swords. So continuing on your reading here at the Three of Swords and the Emperor, the fact that they were betrayed, even though on an external plane, nobody else would dare do that, but someone who was closest to them ended up backstabbing them. It did cause some hurt and, in a way, trauma, but as already mentioned, they've healed. But that doesn't take away from the fact that they are quite protective over ensuring that their place in your life isn't threatened. They don't want anyone to ever take their place, so therefore, you may hear them ask you quite a few questions about where you're going, what you're doing, because in a sense, they have this trauma that they've worked through, but of course they don't want it to happen again. And they want to take preventative measures, not by trying to make you feel controlled, but instead taking a lot of interest in you. You know, when someone asks you how you're doing and what you're feeling, know how you're really feeling, and to tell them everything, and to also kind of explain to them what you need, what you're missing in a relationship. When a partner takes that type of interest and they genuinely ask you what they could do better and what you need more of and what would make you super happy, it shows that they want to know so they can make a real effort to ensure that you are happy and that you don't go anywhere. And I would say that's pretty thoughtful and cute. That's a pretty healed, cute way to make sure that you're happy in the relationship and that you stick around and that the relationship can continue to flourish and thrive. And I see here within the maple spirit that your future spouse is someone who is so beyond generous, not just with their time, but also financially. They always want to ensure that you have everything that you need and more. The maple spirit also just shows that, again, they're a really passionate type of person. We have that here within Tantric. And the maple spirit shows that they're generous in bed. So they always want you to be happy first. They want you to basically reach complete climax first. They want you to feel fully satisfied before they think about themselves. So they will do everything that you like, that turns you on, that makes you feel special first. They will focus on that. They will make sure you are good. And after that, that's when they will think about themselves and their own pleasure. So they're a super giving kind of lover. And moving further within your reading, I see here in the Forest Temple that actually what comes with that is that they feel like they're a very quote-unquote enlightened person. We already have that here in the Lantern and the Hermit. This is a very similar kind of imagery or depiction of enlightenment. And they feel as though they've reached a level that is beyond their peers, beyond a lot of people who have been on planet Earth as long as they have. Not that they're super old, but your future spouse is just the type of person that knows they're quite advanced and that they're wise to the fact that a lot of people they want to take or they want to receive, but the true gift, the true happiness, the true joy lies in actually giving. It lies in actually providing and being generous. And your future spouse cracked that code pretty early on. And your future spouse gets so excited when they can give, when they can provide you with something, because that gives them such a deep sense of happiness that just buying things, owning things, and simple sexual pleasures just can't measure up to that. So they found like a deeper sense of happiness and of enlightenment. Next up, we've got the Ace of Cups. I want you to know here in the Ace of Cups, this is a completely new relationship with this person. So again, it's not someone that you've already had within your circle. This is a new connection. If you're already in a committed relationship or a marriage, I just want you to know that this is a new start for your relationship that your relationship has needed, because your relationship has been through a lot, and it is time for you and your continued future spouse to have a peaceful start and for that to continue on. Now, the Four of Swords shows me here that as soon as you connect with this person, it's like you're both so tired of the people who play games out here. That's what I see in connectivity to the Ace of Cups, that once you find one another and you're both compatible, you both want similar things or the same things, It's like you just merge and it works seamlessly. You both feel like you can rest. Like you don't have to go out and go on these terrible dates and be all nervous about whether you'll get along with the person or not. It just works. It just functions. It's just something that seems to be in alignment. So I want you to know that being with your future spouse, it's like a pause, a break. It's like finally you get to relax and recuperate. It's like a breath of fresh air, and they will also give you a break financially. So they will be paying for a lot of things. They will be taking care of a lot of things, which means that you can take your mind off stuff that usually would kind of stress you out and make you feel this sense of heaviness, make you feel this sense of having so much to do. So your future spouse is definitely giving you that peace of mind. And the Nine of Wands shows us that they are like this warrior. Your future spouse is someone that will go to bat for you against, actually it doesn't even matter how many people, against a plethora of issues, people, things. They take pride in protecting what they feel is theirs or what they feel responsible for. And your future spouse is also the type of person who at one point they did martial arts within their life. And I want you to know here in the Nine of Wands that they have had a lot of injuries that they just brushed off. And as you're with your future spouse and dating them and in a relationship with them, you will notice this because they will have some aches like in their finger, in their wrist. And they will be like just slightly complaining about it, not that much. And when you ask them, they'll say that they had like a broken bone at that point and that they've bruised it, cracked it multiple times. And it all came from, being in close proximity in a martial arts training and a martial arts fight. And they were just the tough person who didn't really take it to hospital or to a doctor, and therefore they still have this kind of reminiscent inflammation and pain from that situation. Now, the Queen of Pentacles shows me that in a way these scars, these aches, these ailments, of course you're like a little bit worried about your future spouse, but I see in the Queen of Pentacles it's also a little bit of a turn on. It's also a little bit like, I'm with this person who is hot, who has a lot of masculine energy, who is strong, who is fearless, who isn't like, I know this sounds really harsh, who isn't a pussy, so to say. And that's the thing, you guys, group number 3, I have dated some pussy boys, and it's just the least attractive thing on planet Earth. It makes you not even want to be near them or kiss them or hold their hand when you're dating like a pussy boy. It is just so unattractive, and no amount of like money or good looks or anything like that can make up for being a pussy boy. But being someone who has this strong, masculine, really hot type of warrior energy, this almost like Viking energy, if you will, that is something that can make up for a lot, whether it's like looks that aren't like conventionally super attractive, whether it's not necessarily being wealthy or whatever, like just having the right type of temperament, energy, and character, and being masculine, protective, and making me feel safe. Wow, that really goes a super long way, group number 3. Next up, we have the High Priestess in reverse. So I see here that with your future spouse, all logic flies out the window, okay? They turn you on so much physically, sexually. It's like you just want to jump them every second of the day, and you're really enjoying that. And that's also one thing that you guys want to keep going for a long time. So hence why you are not really interested in rushing this relationship and in any way, shape, or form, like moving to the next phase too quickly, because you're both just really enjoying this fun, and the scarcity isn't here the way it used to be in the past. And here within the Six of Pentacles, why I see that there's no scarcity is because you're really giving. Now, your future spouse, they donate a lot of money. They do that every year. For one, it is a tax write-off, but it is also a way in which they can show that they're a philanthropic human being and that they're the type of person who has more than enough and is able to share. So it's always important for them that if they've got a roof over their head, if they've got food, if they're in good shape physically, mentally, they give back because to them, giving back is a non-negotiable. That's also what they want to teach their children. That's something they want to do with you. So they are volunteering, and I see that they volunteer when it comes to this martial arts and the sports. Okay, being like a sports coach is something that they're volunteering in. But also, I see that this might be later down the line as you're with them, as they're already your future spouse, in something like a homeless shelter, not just for humans, but also animals, and a place in which people who are homeless can get food, like a soup kitchen kind of thing. That's what I see here, where they not only provide financial and monetary support, but also their time and their energy and their devotion to physically being there. They find that even more important and valuable and super rewarding to just give without expecting anything in return. Now, group number 3, I am going to clear and cleanse the space so we can move more deeply into your reading. I hope that you've been enjoying this space right here. Don't forget to leave an owl emoji below in the comment section to let me and others know that you're still here and that you're a real one, because the only way that you would know is by being within group number 3 and watching all the way to this point. So group 3, all you need to do is to continue relaxing, vibing, and I will take over clearing, cleansing the space, and I'll be right back so we can figure out more details about your future spouse and everything that there is to know about them. Hello, group number 3. Let's delve a little more deeply into your reading, shall we? So we can figure out more about who your future spouse is. I hope you've been enjoying this really lengthy and detailed pick a card tarot reading and psychic prediction. So we've got 3 cards here for you that will reveal a lot of added information about who your future spouse is. So first up, we've got thirst. I can see here that your future spouse is someone who craves you beyond imagination. So you will find that they're constantly trying to meet with you, constantly texting you, trying to find excuses to call you, to talk to you, to help you in any way, shape, or form that they can. Your future spouse is obsessed with you, not in an unhealthy manner, but in a manner that you can feel that they always want to know what's going on your side, and they want to be in your life. They want to help you build that piece of furniture. They want to help you mow your lawn. They want to be there to help change your tires or check the pressure on your tires, whatever it is. And the thing is, allow them to do so. It makes them feel strong. It makes them feel like what they're doing is actually helping you. If they're trying to do something like help you around the house, like cook something for you, like be there for you in some way, shape, or form, allow them to do so. Remember, if someone is offering to do something for you, allow them the gift of giving. We just spoke about the gift of giving and how that is so much more rewarding than receiving. Give them that gift, allow them that gift. And know here within this thirst and this compulsion, do you guys remember like Twilight, Vampire Diaries, and so on? I really loved that era. And here we have a little bit of that vibe, you know, someone who is thirsty and craving your blood specifically because it's like their personal drug. It's like their personal addiction. And there's nothing like you out there for them. And I see here within thirst that it makes them crave you. It makes them miss you after not hearing from you for a couple hours. It makes you pretty much irresistible to them. So here within thirst, I just want you to know that your future spouse is someone who cannot help their compulsion of texting you, of reaching out to you, of trying to be close to you as often as they possibly can. That's what I see here within thirst. So let's move a little further into your reading to figure out some more details. We have got the nightmare. So I can see here that you are your future spouse's kryptonite. Okay, in many instances, they felt like, oh no, this is a nightmare. This person has complete and utter control over me and my thirst. I can't help it. At some point, I'm just going to have to give into it, whether that is by being around you, by initiating a date, by trying to figure out a way how they can spend more time with you. And I see here with a nightmare as well as thirst that for them, until the point that they have secured that marriage with you, until the point that you are in that type of commitment, for them, they're just trying their best to be sane to be as kind, as normal, and as kind of not obsessed but still showing you interest as they can, because they just don't want to lose you. It's really important for them to make sure that you stay there, because again, you are their personal drug. You are their personal supply of excitement, of love, of happiness to an extent. And I know it feels like a lot of pressure, or like, well, they should be happy without you. And they were happy without you, group number 3, but you just make their life that much better. And that's something they never want to give up on. They feel like they have truly found their missing puzzle piece, if there was a puzzle piece to miss, right? And here within Nightmare, I also want you to know that their nightmares start to cease, like their actual nightmares when they're sleeping, as they're sleeping next to you. However, what then does happen is that they have this fear of losing you. They have this fear of ever being in lack of you. And this is not something that they will tell you. However, this is something that you will feel. You'll feel how they look at you. You remember in Twilight, for example, how Edward looked at Bella in this way that a lot of people said was creepy. I thought it was kind of hot. And it's almost like looking at you like you are their prey, almost looking at you in this sense of like, I am here to chase, I am here to pursue, I'm here to like get a little piece of this. And it's like they are a little jealous, but they can't help it. Like they want all of you. And it's like that Justin Timberlake song. I think it's literally, is it called Jealous? No, it's called, right, the song is called Selfish. And they feel as though it's something that they just can't help. They feel as though it's something that somehow you have just invoked in them. They've never felt this way before with anybody ever. But you've just done something else to them, group number 3. You have just triggered them in a way that they didn't even think was possible. They're usually pretty cool. They're usually the type of person who also doesn't chase others. But you just open up this almost like animalistic, one could almost say like primitive side of them that is just an animal that chases, that is just like trying to get its prey, really. And I want you to understand here that that is probably also what causes this really electrifying tension between you and your future spouse, because you feel pursued, you feel chased, you feel like they really want to be around you, and there's no doubt that they want to be with you and only you. I see here within Scorpio that they have a strong Scorpio placement that makes them so intense, and that makes them the type of person that, you know, if you ever have an issue, they may be playing it cool and not texting you every minute, but if you are to text them, group number 3, and you say to them that you are in any type of trouble or you have an issue, they will text back in 2 seconds. They're immediately there. So they are seeing the text and checking their phone all the time, even though they're trying to play it cool and not seem too obsessed. Really on the inside they are. I want to see where we've got the Scorpio placement. Let's actually use our astro dice for this to figure out where this placement is. Okay, so we have got Pluto here. So the Plutoid, some call it a planet, some just call it a heavenly body. The Plutoid is the planet of kind of shared resources, transformation, death as well. I want you to know that Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, quite literally speaking. So this goes together beautifully in the sense of what this shows is kind of a rebirth through you. So this person feels reborn. Your future spouse feels like it is a completely new chapter, a new beginning with you, and that it's different from everything they've experienced before. They can't compare the relationship that you have with one another to any of their past relationships or their past experiences. And they don't want to, because it's just not on the same level. It's like, yeah, the exes that they have, they were cute and everything, but they weren't you. You know, they were not nowhere close to what you have and how intoxicating that you are to your future spouse. And why they're becoming your future spouse is because they actually know the balance between being intense and chasing and pursuing and showing you that they want you, and also being playful, also being the type that isn't afraid to have fun with it, to crack jokes, to keep things lighthearted, at least for you, even though for them on the inside, if they were to lose you, they would literally die. They would literally be crushed and fall apart. So this is good news for your future spouse that they end up becoming your future spouse, because let me tell you, the kind of value that you hold in their eyes, it is beyond measure. It is beyond anything that they felt before, and it is the type of love that you only have for probably kids or parents, just close family, and extremely close friends who you have made your family, basically. Next up here in the bear spirit, I do also see that your future spouse is someone with whom you're going to take the best naps with. They're super cuddly. Here within the bear and healing and the bear spirit, they love to hibernate after like a good lunch and brunch, just chilling, watching your favorite Netflix docu-series, and also being able to watch some scary things with them because you feel safe when they're in your presence, and being able to just relax and recuperate after a big meal, a big brunch type thing. They like to do that during the day. Sundays are their day for hibernation, for healing, for just doing nothing. And they can't wait to have a partner such as yourself, group number 3, to do that with. And their love language is really cuddling. Like, they love cuddling. They love being intimate physically, not just in the sense of, you know, sleeping together, but also in the sense of being close, of cuddling, of petting one another, of having like some soft, playful kisses and almost play fights, but not in a way that is too intense. And just holding you tight, like literally on the couch, like spooning you, holding you really tight, like smelling your hair, being close to you, watching something, and in a sense also just being quiet. You know, throughout the week, there's always so much going on. There's always so many demands that are put on your future spouse that they just love when they're alone with you, that they feel like they can just heal. Like they can just be this big cuddly bear, this kind of gentle giant, as they are quite a bit larger than you, not just in height, but also in body mass. And to just feel in a way really held, really cared for, like they're actually a tiny little teddy bear instead of such like a huge behemoth of like a black bear or a grizzly bear, you know what I mean? And just feeling like, I know this sounds strange, but feeling like they are taken care of by you, feeling like they have a place that they can just be like a little baby at again. And because they can't do that outside of being with you, outside of your very private moments, it is sacred to them. Now, next up, we've got the leap of faith card that showed up in regards to who your future spouse is. Now, your future spouse is someone who will take a huge leap in pursuing you and in chatting you up. I do see here in the leap of faith that they're so afraid to talk to you and to make that first move, but once they can sense that you like them back, then the pursuit really continues diligently. But that leap of faith of like texting you first, DMing you first, coming up and talking to you first, that is super scary to them. But somehow you're just that one person that made them overcome their fear of rejection and do it anyways, because they knew that it is worse to lose out on someone like you than to embarrass themselves or potentially embarrass themselves. And I do see here within Stormy that it costs a lot of courage for them at the start of the relationship to reach out to you and to kind of show interest. They're still doing it, don't get me wrong. They're still showing that they are interested in you and that they do want to spend time with you. But it's definitely something where every single time they get heart palpitations, like they're afraid, their heart starts to race, they've got anxiety, they're not quite sure how you'll respond. They want to make sure they're actually planning good dates, not just mediocre dates that you're not even going to enjoy. They are putting a lot of pressure on themselves, really. That's what I see here within the leap of faith, as well as Stormy, when it comes to your future spouse for you, group number 3. So let's move a little more deeply into this reading, as I do feel like there are still 1 or 2 additional messages here about your future spouse. Let's see what we're going to get. We have a quarrelsome. Okay, so quarrelsome shows me that your future spouse, honestly, like they grew up in an environment where quarreling or just overall having all of these discussions about minute topics were normal. So they really don't like anyone with a quarrelsome nature. They don't like arguing. They don't like quarreling. That is like the last thing that they want to do ever. Your future spouse is such a kind of chill person that's always focused on healing. They try to avoid any arguments, and they're probably just going to give in rather than try to be right if you're ever arguing with them about something. And I also want you to know here that we have the number 1 that's showed up quite a few times. We have 12, 15, 31, we've got 10, 1, 21. So literally here we've got 5, 8, and 4. So we've only got 1, 2, 3 cards that don't include the number 1. And the additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards all include the number 1. The number 1 is the number of not just initiation and leadership, but also someone who's been single for a long time, who's had to stand on their own for quite a while. So I want you to know that your future spouse, they were alone and single for a long time before they ended up getting into a relationship with you, and before they ended up saying, okay, you know what? You are my person. I want to be with you. I want to literally marry you and be with you forever. So when they knew, they knew. And yeah, as Spirit is confirming, they were then determined. Do not be fooled by someone who isn't replying to you, who you have to double and triple text. That's not your future spouse. While your future spouse is shy and does take some courage in order to plan things and make things happen, and it may at the beginning feel a little slow, a little bit like, you know, what's taking so long? Why are they? I know that they're interested, but it's also that you can tell they're a little nervous. But don't mix that up with someone who isn't showing interest, all right? And by isn't showing interest, I mean someone who you text and they ghost you for like days or weeks. That's not your future spouse. That's not showing determination. Your future spouse shows determination by planning things, by even if they're shy, they will without a doubt still make sure that they text you before the end of the day. They text you in the mornings. They make sure that they touch base with you. And you can tell that there's effort there. You can tell that there's just this extra care. Also in how they text you, the fact that they make sure that they actually hold or keep their words that they promise to you. So if they say they're going to text you at a certain time or call you at a certain time, they will always do that. So if someone isn't doing that, if someone is ghosting you, if you have been texting this dude and they're hot and cold and you're never quite sure whether they're going to reach out or not, that is not the one. That's just like situationship material, honestly. And that's where Spirit wants to say to you, look, you deserve better than that. And if you have not yet demanded better, why is it that you're allowing this? Why is it that you feel like this is all that you deserve? Not to call you out, group number 3, but let's call you out. If you want consistency, if you want someone who is obsessed with you, who loves you, who you know you can count on, why are you entertaining anything that isn't that? It's important that you set boundaries and initiate rules without actually verbalizing it, but just through your energy. That will actually keep the people out who aren't serious, who are just playing games, and who are looking for situationships that, again, you deserve better than. You don't deserve a situationship or something that is half-assed, that isn't showing that the person values you. All right, so here within judgment, I just want to make it abundantly clear to you that there's also still a path and a difference between how you're behaving and what you desire to attract, and acting in alignment with that is actually going to propel future spouse material to you way more quickly. Now, the King of Cups is the king of water signs, and Scorpio is a water sign, so I will put this right over here by our Scorpio card. That's where I'm going to put our King of Cups card. It shows someone of a very masculine kind of stature, long wavy hair, beard, carrying this kind of cup, this chalice, if you will. And I want you to know here that what this represents is someone who is strong in their convictions, in their emotions, and in their feelings. This is someone who is trustworthy. This is someone who is emotionally intelligent. So I see that your future spouse is the type of person that you can talk to about just just about anything, really. And they are the type of person who has nieces and nephews that love them. Your future spouse has younger kids that look up to them and see them as like a king or a queen. Your future spouse is an idol and is an inspiration to a lot of those who are younger than your future spouse. And I do see here within the Fool that even though they have accomplished so much, at a relatively young age, your future spouse still feels like they're just at the beginning. The Fool shows blissfully being unaware of how close one is to the edge of a cliff or the edge of falling, so to say. And I want you to know here in the Fool that this is also the first card of the major arcana within the tarot, and it represents new beginnings. So whenever your future spouse completes something big, they feel like a beginner again, because they then usually move on to new projects where they start from zero again. And your future spouse just also doesn't give themselves enough credit, which is probably where you come into play in many ways. Group number 3, because you help them to celebrate their wins. You help them to celebrate everything that they've been able to accomplish. But in the Fool, I also see them being here with a rose and them kind of doing some of these romantic gestures they've never done before, but doing it for you. Like we've got here with the rose, bringing you a rose, bringing you a lot of things that put them blissfully unaware, but close to the edge of having their heart shattered if you don't like it, but nevertheless taking that leap of faith for you, as we spoke about here in the leap of faith, and doing it just in good faith of believing that you will appreciate it and you will like it. Next up, we have got the King of Swords. This is the king of air signs. Air signs are Gemini, Libra, as well as Aquarius. And the King of Swords shows us someone who is really good at talking. And this is showing us in regards to your future spouse. So for one, they're emotionally mature and sane, and they are intelligent on an emotional level, but they're also very book smart. So they have an amazing education that has done a lot for them. And I see in the King of Swords and the King of Cups that that combination has meant that they've already accomplished quite a lot. So they've already, for example, finished their law degree, even worked at a law firm or started their own. But once they kind of finish a project or a chapter like that, they want to go on to the next. So they don't like to linger in one place too long. Another thing in the King of Cups and King of Swords is like doctor energy, the type of energy of someone who deals with large funds and manages large funds. And then once a project is done, they move on to the next. Someone who builds a company, sells it off, and then again moves on to the next. So your future spouse is really someone to whom sky is the limit when it comes to business, work, and financials, and they still have so much that they would like to do. However, when it comes to their personal life, yeah, they can be extremely shy, even though they overcome that shyness for you. Next up, we have got the number 4. So they grew up in a family of 4. They have one sibling. They had both of their parents for the most part of growing up. They were both there. They were both present. And 4 is also a number of stability. I want us to figure out precisely when your future spouse's birthday is. All right, so we've got the number 3. So their birthday is on the 3rd. Let's figure out precisely what month that we're going to get here. All right, the third, so number 33. 33 is a master number, the 3rd of March. So they fall right in the middle of the star sign of Pisces. They're right in the middle of the span of that star sign. I believe Pisces is from, I think, February 20th up until March 20th. So being a Pisces, having this water sign energy, it actually flows beautifully with our King of Cups that we've got here. So know that they have a lot of water sign placements in their birth chart, like in their big 3, in their sun, moon, and rising sign. And then they also have a lot of air sign placements, for example, in their Mars, in their Saturn, in their Jupiter. And I want you to know that this is the type of person that is a great mixture between understanding emotions, but also acting in a rational manner and acting from a place of being strategic, of knowing how to play the game, of knowing how to be diplomatic. So your future spouse is someone who is intelligent in many different forms, which will serve your relationship really well. And they are also the type of person who knows exactly what they want, and they will overcome any kind of shyness or any kind of uncertainty to get to you. I see that they're definitely planning dates that are memorable. They're taking photos on these dates because they want to be able to show their kids. They're thinking way ahead of you, and they want to be able to show their kids, or shall I say your kids, images of like the second date, the third date. They may be too shy to take a photo on the first date with you. They might still do it, but they could also be too shy. But notice how later on they are taking you to things such as concerts. They are doing things with you such as going on hikes, seeing different places in nature, not just basic coffee or dinner dates, but something a bit more thought out, a little bit more special, and a little bit more one of a kind. That's what they're planning with you. And that's how you'll be able to discern between who your future spouse is and if this is just another random person, situationship, or someone who you'll just have like a short romance with. Now, group number 3, this is the reading that I received for you. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you found it insightful. Last nugget of information, they love it when you wear red. Spirit wanted me to still tell you this before we close off the reading. They love when you wear red as well as black. They love that combination on you, and they find that that looks really sexy and attractive, especially like a dark red, a Bordeaux, a wine red, very classy on you. Now, group 3, this is the reading that I received for you. I hope that you enjoyed it. And obviously, if you're still here, then you belong in this space. We clearly vibe with one another. So, of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. Furthermore, all resources can be found below in the description box, such as where you can find my tarot, my oracle decks, as well as my courses where I teach you how to read the tarot and how to publish your own tarot and oracle decks. I've also got things such as my Patreon down there where I've got patron-only videos and content. So literally everything's in the description box, my beautiful souls, right there for you to check out if you would like even more or to delve into a smaller group where I'm reading for a very small audience and working with a really small audience, especially, for example, in my mentorship program, where I only take very few mentees, but I work closely with you and provide you with readings every day that help you to make decisions in your private life and in your business so you can be as successful as you can be. So there are so many other options down there for you to explore. But overall, wherever you are in this world, group number 3, I would just like to thank you for spending this divine time and space with me. Know that I'm sending you so much love, and I can't wait to connect with you during one of my upcoming readings.